said, I've got things in my head that she don't wanna hear nothing about. I've got the things she said in my head. That's what she's about. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do. I've done things to her, she's done back to me. 3 or 5 times worse, she's been into me for a while now, about where we've been and gone. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do. I suppose I kinda do. We've been sharing this space for some time. Hard to look away, find a space in my time and place where I think you can't see me. We've been sharing these eyes for a long time, but we see things differently, you and me. Still share the space inside of me. We're all in here eventually. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do.
Welcome back to another Beverage with Blacky, number 142. Some magic numbers. Blacky's indisposed just at this moment, so I'm taking over the stream. Just to begin with, good to see everyone in here. Hello, James. G'day, Huawei. How you doing, Sicklers23? Teen Aqua, g'day. Sky Dancer, hello. Kat McKenzie, cheers. Amateur Aquatic Addiction, g'day everyone. G'day to you too. Kat McKenzie, hi scammers. Who's the scammer, Kat? Let us know. We'll get rid of them. Moderators should be onto that. GRB, once again, welcome back. Punchy Pants, good to see you, Pam. Oh, I'm just checking through the comments. Skydance, have I missed anyone? I don't think so. BJ Palmer, no, I already got you. Bored old fart. Hello, bored old fart. Hello. Okay, so story of the day for me, because I've got to open up. I bought too many aquatic plants for my fish bowl, and it created a airless environment. I let too much duckweed grow and lost two of my elder fish last night, and went to town and removed like a whole bucket, 90% of the plant life out of my bowl. It was quite scary what I'd left it get to, because the plants just look glorious and they look really happy. But yeah, not a good thing. Don't ever overplant a tank or a bowl. Pretty silly. So yeah, my rare and expensive mosaic plants just got destroyed by the entangling roots of everything else that was going on. It's a bit sad. But yeah, that's what you get. G'day, Blacky.
G'day there. How are we?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit sweaty. It's quite warm, isn't it? 30 degrees, my thing says. Also says rain off and on, but I haven't seen any rain today.
No, not today.
You can't even trust the computer weatherman or meteorologist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for opening there for me. Just had a mate of mum and dad's turn up, and we generally have a little bit of a chat before he goes in and sees the olds.
No worries.
How is everyone out there in YouTube land? James Hukulak back on the winner's podium. First in, bucket of kudos, as is the norm, James. Well done. Huawei, love you too. C23 in early, mate. G'day. Haven't seen you for ages, and then I see you a bunch all of a sudden. T and Aqua, how are you? Who else we got here? Sky Dancer, how are you, Sky? Kat, Mackenzie, I don't know why I'm using everyone's full names. Triple A, how are you? It's been a pleasure watching your notifications pop up. A valued member of Replay Team 6, Triple A has become. GRB, g'day, mate. How are you? Pamela, good evening. Crikey, this is quite a few people in early. It's good to see. Thanks for coming, everyone. BJ Palmer, how are you? What's that?
Good time spot.
Yeah, I suppose. What is it? Probably 9 to 11 across most of the states. Gaffer, how you going? 2 Dougs, g'day, mate. I think I might have got everyone. Lots of g'days between everyone. It's lovely to see people adopting the g'day. I wonder if we can make it take off in the US just by using it all the time. And yeah, like Huawei says, if you are indeed one of our esteemed members of Replay Team 6, we welcome you along too. And yes, that's my newly adopted sweat towel, because I don't know where my other one went. Disappeared last night sometime.
So 11 p.m. on the East Coast, this is like a late night talk show, I guess. Bit of an alternative to the mainstream media. We'll give you some real shit.
Indeed. We'll try to anyway. Where are you at, Triple A? If you're stinking hot, I'm assuming down here somewhere. Because I don't think it's stinking hot anywhere in the States.
No, it's cold.
Maybe down Texas way, New Mexico way, perhaps. Yeah, I had a delivery last night of a massive big trailer load of mulch. It was supposed to be here yesterday afternoon, so we could ferry it all around into the vegetable gardens. And by the time old mate had got here, it was dark and it had started raining.
Yep.
So yeah, we didn't get any of it moved last night. Got a huge pile of tea tree mulch. Oh, a nice country AAA. I love it down there. Beautiful country.
Yeah, but you're close, mate. You're real close.
Yeah, just duck up for a bevy, mate. So yeah,
We'll do a live stream from the pub if you want. That'd be fun.
say that again.
We could do a live stream from the pub.
From the pub.
Yeah, from the RSL. We'll get a room and go professional. Sit down table.
I don't know if professional was in my rule book, my guidebook. But yeah, thankfully the lawnmower man turned up this morning, and he mowed the lawn, and he shifted a dozen or more wheelbarrows full into the garden beds for me.
Nice.
And I'll, gradually get into the rest of it over the next multiple days. I prefer not to try and put some kind of constraint on myself. What's been going on in your world?
Ooh, I had as I said, as my leading speech was, had a toxic event happen in my fish bowl. Too many fucking plants.
Too many plants.
Yeah.
Made it toxic.
Yeah. There wasn't enough air exchange because of the amount of duckweed and all the other plants, and they were just kicking each other off with the carbon cycles, and it was just too much plant material. And the poor fish, I lost two of my elders. They died. They went belly up. And the only reason I noticed is because I went out there at night and quickly checked on them, and all the big adults were, gasping for air at the top of the surface of the water. I was like,
right.
That's a bad sign. There's enough oxygen in the water.
But you salvaged fish. You saved them.
I sure did.
Excellent. Good
Lost
stuff.
two, but got plenty more happy ones, all kicking about. And my leaky waterfall is just pretty much a slow water changer. So I'll keep running that over the next couple of days and keep topping it off with water, and that'll do my water change for me. But yeah, it's a bit hard to do a vacuum when you've got little tittle of babies.
Yeah.
So small.
Yeah, when I was doing lots of baby guppies and shrimp and stuff, I just put some gauze over the end of my hose intake.
Okay.
And yeah, quite often you'd pull your siphon out after a bucket load or whatever, and you'd have one sort of has been sucked onto the outside of the gauze, but on the outside of the gauze is better than down the hose.
That's right.
Yeah, I like all bristlenose AAA. They're one of my favourite fish. I'm currently breeding just standards and albinos and crossing them. Had a fresh batch of babies just, when was that? Monday or Sunday, I think they all popped out.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm breeding brown females with albino males, so I'm getting like 50-50 batches, brown and white babies, so I enjoy that. But even better than that, when I don't know if I've shared this information online, I had my bait trap down in the creek the other day, and I got some spotted gudgeons out of it, and then I decided to leave the bait trap down there overnight. And when I went down the next day to get it, I had 3 more spotted gudgeons and 2 long-arm freshwater prawns.
Nice.
Which, many people will know, are one of my absolute top shelf number one things to keep in a tank because they're just so cute and fun. So yeah, it motivated me to get my 3x2x2 tank back up and running. It has been sitting stagnant for about 18 months since a electrical thing happened. One of my filters overflowed and flooded all my electrics. Thankfully, safety switches exist.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the power went when it happened. The power went out, and I'm like, couldn't work out what was happening. And then I've walked out towards the power box and I have to go past the fish tanks to get to the power box. And there's water on the floor and it's still flowing because my DIY filter is a gravity fed one, so it basically just where it was overflowing just became a siphon and was emptying the tank slowly.
Right.
But I don't even remember if I had anything in it when that happened. I don't think I did. Or I might. Yeah, actually, I still had big cichlids at that stage, so I had to chuck those big cichlids all in the tank behind me. Thumb was pointing the wrong direction. So yeah, I'm very, very stoked to have a couple of prawns back in my life. One's only, maybe just over an inch long, and the other one's about 2.5, 3 inches long. If you don't count his long arms out front. Oh crikey! Did you see those wobbles? Don't do that again. That's them, AAA. Big gangly arms and nippers.
Yep.
But yeah, so far, like the other ones I had seemed to be really easy to feed. These ones seem finicky, but there's lots of algae and Java moss in there. So I'll be finding food of some sorts, and I'll just keep trying. All the different food types I have until I find one that they like. Try them with some people food as well, and see what they go. There's a video on my YouTube channel from quite a long time ago of when I had the first bunch of prawns. I'd put a grasshopper into the prawn tank, and the big prawn picks up the grasshopper and starts smashing it. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just feed it insects. They're very cool, AAA. And I'm not sure if they're like there's a normal version and then there's a giant freshwater prawn as well, which are really cool. But I'm not sure if they're the same ones, if they're the giant ones or if they're just normal little freshwater ones.
Could just be juveniles.
Yeah,
they might get really big with age.
Well, that's the thing too. The other ones that I had like colouring on them and were quite a decent size. G'day, Cody. And they're like my big one, 2.5 inch or something. It's just plain no colour. So that's what I'm kind of hoping, that it might be a juvie and still yet to colour up and whatnot.
Cool.
Great bait. I hate to imagine them going as bait. AAA.
Oh yeah, you gotta get on my friend Kai's mission. He does fly fishing these days on salt water, and he's making all these amazing flies. And he conjured up this one that looked like some offcuts that they chuck at the boat ramp the other day.
Right. Yeah.
And landed so many fish before they cottoned on to what was going on. You got like 20 bream, and then they went, oh no, we're losing numbers. This is a bullshit.
Everyone stop eating now.
Yeah, stop eating this shit. This isn't food. This is bait. It's
That's
bait.
I haven't had bream for ages. That's very, very good eating fish, isn't it?
Love it.
Once you get past the bones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it must be 10 years or more since I've had any bream.
It wasn't bream. Maybe it was something else. But anyway, my memory fails me. We got to get Kai on these streams one day. He's got to get free and start talking his truth, because he's got a lot of good information regarding fishing, which is a nice angle to take.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
G'day, Derek. How are you, mate? Long time no see. But yeah, I was because the big fish tank was sitting stagnant for so long, there was this wall of green across the front. Yeah. And I was dreading that I was going to have to get the scraper out and scrape, because on my arthritic hands, that becomes a tedious job very rapidly. And I have a magnet cleaner there, so I thought I'll just give it a run over with the magnet cleaner first, just in case. And yeah, magnet cleaner cleaned up, no worries. Didn't even have to do a single scrape.
Nice.
Which then made me go, oh shit! If it was that easy, I should have just put a bristle nose in there, and they could have got a good feed. Since I've got a few spare bristle nose now.
Yep.
But yeah, trying to catch my big bristle nose in this tank behind me. There, far out. That was the worst point ever. There's too many hiding spots and stuff, so they're very difficult to catch. And yeah, I can't put little tiny ones in there because prawns will eat little fish. I imagine. Back when I was a Victorian resident, cod fishing, you would get dozens, but they were large, big ones around 4 inches. Yeah, I'd say they're probably the giant freshwater prawns then. I think they get up to like 6 or 7 inches long. They get quite large.
Impressive.
I had this guy turn up in the post today.
Oh, yeah.
A little miniature version of the big one that I built last week.
Notice the name change?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, can't have any references to slavery. You don't want people to think about slavery.
I did see one, I can't remember whether it was an old release of that ship or not, but I did see one that was still listed as Slave 1. But I stumbled across a limited release a limited release TIE fighter from the animated Star Wars series, the Resistance. Resistance. G'day Cam, how are you, mate? I will not tell her that Huawei because 6 inches is not large. Oh, it's big enough, yeah. I'd probably like 6 inches. That'd be good in a prawn. What was I saying? It was a limited release, and it doesn't release anymore. It's bloody hell, who was it? Major Tonleg. I can't even remember the name because I don't even remember the character. But I'm just that into TIE fighters that. And there was only 4 left at this place, and they were quite expensive. But because of my, I've had a bad experience with the Lego before, where it was Darth Vader's fortress or Vader's fortress or Vader's castle, goes by many names. Yeah. It was on Amazon probably about 2 years ago for $189 or $185 or something. And at that stage, I was pretty fresh back into building Lego, and I probably didn't have very much money in the bank. And I was like, nah, that's way too much money to spend on Lego. Now it'll set you back at least $450.
Ouch.
So, yeah, as you saw in my Facebook post about that.
Yeah. Was it an Amazon exclusive?
What's that?
Was it an Amazon exclusive?
No. It's around in lots of different places, but
okay, because Bezos is doing that now. He's onto it. He knows that he'll get an exclusive deal with certain sets and be like, no one else can sell it. That's just me, and it just makes Amazon even more attractive to the customers. Yeah, well, that does tend to be where I do most of my Lego shopping, because 99 times out of 101, Amazon are even cheaper than buying from Lego Direct. So, yeah. And the last time I bought things from Lego in Australia direct, they never showed up. I still reckon the courier pinched them. Because stupidly, when Lego sends stuff out,
they send them out in Lego marked boxes, don't they? So it's quite obvious what's inside.
Yeah.
Sorry, Huawei, I forgot to answer that for you before. I don't really use my Facebook or Instagram and post on, only for silly things when I'm drunk, like when I regret not buying Lego when it was cheap. So yeah, but people can find me on Facebook. I'm on there as Michael Black from Mullumbimby. And crikey, what's my Instagram? It's probably Dr. Black 66 as well. I think no, Instagram might be different. I think Twitter is Dr. Black 66. I think I had to make up a new name for Instagram because someone else was already Dr. Black 66. I don't even know where to find my name on Instagram. Do I go click the face maybe? It says Mike Black, MICBLACK. Maybe that's who I am. Anyway, someone who's already friends with me on Instagram might have to tell me what my Instagram name is because I don't really have a bloody clue. But yeah, that's no drama, Huawei. I'm not very massive on the social media, as in posting. Like I'll look at stuff on Instagram, I'll look at stuff on Twitter, and if something interests me on Facebook, I'll have a look there. But yeah, I don't really post stuff. This is the most posting I do is I do a live stream and I get all my shit off my chest in these things. You're the sensible one in the room, Huawei. You don't have either of them.
Oh, the algorithms are pretty problematic. I got to see from a friend of a friend that was shadow banned from even being able to add me on Facebook. So I grabbed his phone and I searched him and powered through the shadow ban and got him connected with me. But before I did, he got to see how many followers I had left out of my 400 or so friends. Only 20 people are following me. I'm like, fuck's sake, guys. Fair enough, I've had my drunken rant moments on Facebook. Turned a few people off, but I never expected there to be only 20 odd people from my 400 friends on Facebook who actually see my shit. So basically, yeah, Messenger's king. Facebook is dying.
Do you have to follow someone on Facebook to get their posts in your feed, not just be friends with them?
Yeah.
G'day, Mike. How are you, mate? Always a pleasure to have another Mike in the house. Yeah, I had to go through and, oh no, hang on, what's the other one? Reddit. I had to go in Reddit yesterday or the day before and turn all the notifications off. And there's not one button that you can push, as far as I know, in Reddit, where you can just switch off all notifications. There's this list of like 50 different things, and you've got to turn them all off individually.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I was just getting ridiculous amounts of Reddit posts. And there's only a couple of things that I really would like notifications from Reddit, but now I've got to go and search them. One of my favorite things on Reddit is Star Wars NSFW.
Not safe for work, yeah.
Okay. There's some real filth on there, but sometimes you get some gems and gold. Yeah. There's a lot of real amateurish stuff as well, but yeah, there's just there's too much shit on there, too much crap that I have no interest in.
I'll add you to the Facebook not safe for work Lego group. That's quite hilarious.
All right, didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, the back content, man. You'll have some fun searching through that.
Excellent.
Hilarious.
G'day, Soul Taker.
Skull Taker. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get another drink. I'll be back in a sec.
Rightio. Yeah, it's been an interesting time for me lately. I have my parents back at home now, and my dad is very high care now. So it's like the level of high care that is like midday to the table for breakfast and can barely move himself around. And so, yeah, I will do my very best to keep them alive while I can, but we are going to have to put them into a nursing home or an old folks home, whatever you guys call them, because he just requires constant care. As it is doing this, I'm being slack, but he's in there having a chat with one of his mates, so hopefully Max stays here for a little while and keeps him busy. G'day, Vibes. How's it going? Yeah. So it's going to be rigmarole and red tape and a whole bunch of shit that we have to do before we can get them into the home. And of course, we have to wait for a place to be available. G'day, DD. How are you, love? So yeah, I will still have to be 100% good caring boy for quite some weeks yet. So yeah, but the reason why I was saying that is because of my my lack of streaming last week and on other times, and I probably envisage that there will be more times over the next few weeks and months where I will have to skip streaming because I'm required elsewhere. Yes, I have been in a fried out combi. 2 Dougs. If by that you mean a combi with a massive Dutch oven occurring in the back of it. That's what I would assume fried out means. Smoking lots of joints and filling the thing with smoke. Getting high, Corvus.
Are you out there? Are you out there getting? What are you doing? You getting stoned, bros? You got to go easy on that.
No, I was just asked if I've been in a fried out combi, and by definition of that, I envision fried out combi to be a hot box in a combi. Exactly, Huawei. A hot box. That's what you guys called it. We call it Dutch oven, I think. Do we call it hot box now as well due to the proliferation of the American term?
Oh my God, I don't even have the chat open.
Yeah.
What is this, like
slacking,
amateur
bro.
hour over here? What's going on? I don't have the chat open.
How you been?
I've been all right, man. What's going on? What's happening? Where you been? What have you been doing?
Sweating. Mostly sweating.
Wait, start the stream over. Start over.
All right.
Go back to the beginning.
Hang on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Beverages Blacky number 142. Here we are. Reset. That's the name of the game. Hey, Blacky.
Hey.
Hi.
We had to start over. We had to start over. Yeah.
That's how we started today. Z-Beam had to do the opening monologue today because I was deeply embroiled in a conversation at exactly starting time.
Yeah, I was stuck. So I'm trying to offload the video right now. I don't know. But I got news today, guys. I got news today, boys.
Yeah, I heard the news about Washington.
What news? Wait, what?
There's a shooting at a petrol station.
Okay.
I have a strange feeling based on that reaction that that's not the same news as Corvus's.
No, I don't know. Hey, man, there's shootings all the time. There's 350 million people over here and 400 million guns. I don't know. What do you want? What do you want me to do? I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
That sucks. That sucks, but I'm not shocked. Somebody quick pick me up off the floor. My mind is blown.
Yeah, like Huawei says, gun violence isn't news in America.
Yeah,
G'day, Saints Dust Aquariums. Wait, Saint
No.
Dust Aquariums. Is
News
that a new
news
name?
news in America is like Flint's water is poisoned, right? We'll talk about that for 8 years. We'll talk about Flint's water being bad for 8 years ad nauseum. People gunned down in the street. We're like, well, what are we gonna do? We can't do anything about it, guys. What do we? Right?
Yeah,
We can't
that
even
happened
fix Flint's water
yesterday.
either. So whatever, like, what's the point?
That happened
What's the
yesterday.
point
But
in
what's
using-
new is a Kardashian released a perfume. Let's talk about that for 2 weeks.
Does a Kardashian get a boob job again? I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
Good news.
Hey man, let's bring it back to me. My news is way better than
Yeah,
it should
your
be.
news is the news.
Dude, my news is good news, Chief. I finally
Let's
have
hear
good
it.
news for you sons of bitches.
Finally.
All right? Listen to me.
Fantastic.
All right? The
G'day,
the
George.
video I'm uploading right now is explaining all of the bad news pointed out with this good news we got today. The garage doors are going in tomorrow, baby.
Oh, look out.
The garage
Look out.
doors. The garage doors are going in faster than you can even have ordered them, I think. we basically
awesome.
we basically agreed. We just said F it last week, right? We were like, screw it. Let's just do it. Who cares? We'll figure it out. Let's just get it done. I think we called them on Thursday, I think, and we were like, yeah, let's go ahead with the garage doors. They're like, cool. We'll swing by and grab a deposit check. And we're like, yeah, fine. We'll get that done. That's all good. And then, with almost every project, you're like, oh, it's at least a couple weeks out. Whatever. We'll just pay the remainder in a couple weeks. They're like, we got to get it ordered and stuff. We'll get it figured out. So on Friday, the lady calls and she's like, okay, cool. We got your deposit. It might be as early as next week. And so they called today.
Happened across the garage door.
Yeah, they called today and they're like, yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. What the fuck, dude? What's going on here? What are you guys doing, man? You guys drinking a bunch of Red Bull all fired up and running around, your hair on fire? Like, we got to put in garage doors. Let's go. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, man. So that's good news because we're moving forward on the fish room project. That is good. That is good. Finally.
Awesome.
Does that mean that you got your insulation done?
7 months later. 7 months later. 7 months later, I'm finally got the garage door for the fish room, which means I can start doing drywall. Oh, baby. Are you excited? Gypsum board going in hot. You guys could do gypsum board down there? I think you guys do something else, right?
We call it Gyprock.
Gyprock. Yeah. Well, I'll be doing some of that. That's coming up soon. You'll be lots of dusty ass videos from me covered in dust.
Would you like to see some? Would you like to see some native gypsum?
Sure.
Native gypsum.
Yeah.
Who's going to say no to that?
You don't got to ask me twice, bro. Like, let's check it out. Let's see it. Let's see the gypsum. Bring it. What's funny is that because I'm like I said, I'm offloading this video because I want to post it up, and I gotta throw some edits on it, and then should I throw any backing music on it? Probably not. But regardless, we'll get it up, we'll get it out there, run through the long string of chaos. But it's been a wild one here, bros. Like, we got the breast cancer, we had the rats in the crawl space. God dang. Yeah, and you were asking about the insulation, so we got that done. That was a real kick in the bank account's balls.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was before the garage doors were able to be done. You had to get your insulation done.
Yeah, but that's the house. That's the main body of the house. These garage doors. So you'll see it whenever I post that video. You'll see kind of a walkthrough I'm walking around the garage. It's an unfinished garage, so. Right now it's 37 degrees outside, which means it's 37 degrees in the garage,
Whoa, why does it do that? Oh, because it's crystalline.
Oh, crazy. Very cool. Hey, on my my YouTube random stuff, it started popping up the Gold Rush Australia, where the guys wander around with metal detectors. You do any of that, Z?
I don't mess around with gold. No.
You don't go finding the gold?
I haven't. No, not yet. Never attempted those waters, but one day maybe.
I got to admit, it looks so much easier than the American version because
Oh yeah.
in the American version, you got to go busting through like a snow-capped mountain glacier runoff with bears and moose running around attacking everyone and wolves in the night. You know,
Yeah.
whereas in Australia, they're like, "Oi, mate, it's hot out here," but they're just walking around with a metal detector, scooping nuggets off the ground. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds easier.
The mineral wealth. I'm more interested in the semi-precious.
No, okay.
Things like gold, sapphires, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, all this big money stuff is just it's not only is it rare, but it's harder to find and it's harder to work with. Whereas the semi-precious minerals, that's where the money's at. That's where the fun's at too.
The fun's at, not the mums at.
Well, I'm just saying, you go
Just
find a
have
big
the-
old gold. You go find a big old gold nugget, and then you get to
Oh,
take your
fuck yeah,
vacation.
I'd love to one day. But this piece of gypsum was from a dried out creek bed out in Central Australia.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can see the layers in it. It looks like a
Yeah.
glacier.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's all
cool.
bent and stuff. It's wild.
Huawei, can you spell creek for the people watching at home?
Creek.
Running joke in this strain.
Okay.
Probably more Huawei's mum strain,
Yeah,
who was
I-
here earlier, but I think she's gone.
They might have left. People
I've got,
leave
like-
when I show up, so it's all good. It's
I
understood.
got like dinner plate sized bits of gypsum out of this desert location, and brought back about 50 kilos in a duffel bag out of the desert on the bus back from Adelaide back to New South Wales and distributed it. And
Oh my god! Hold on. I'm sorry. I just read something. I just read something in the chat that I can't get past this. They said the more guns, the less violence. If everyone is armed, no one wants to pull one.
yeah,
Which is absolutely like absurdly ridiculous. So
That's
like
it is.
Little
empirically,
bit
like,
idealistic.
it's empirically wrong, right? Like if everyone has a gun, nobody will want to use one. You're like, wait, but everyone has the tool. Everyone has the tool. Just what in their hand? Like, I don't want to shoot this. I've got a gun. I don't want to shoot it though. Yeah, I'm like, what? Everyone in here, everyone in this room has cans of spray paint. Guaranteed no graffiti later today, right?
Good analogy.
Everyone has 10 cans of spray paint in a bag, and they're just holding them while they're all standing around here. Guaranteed no drawings of dick and balls on the walls. Guaranteed. Guarantee because no one will want to graffiti if everyone can graffiti. See? Welcome to Rationale. Logic 101. Everyone knows.
G'day,
No,
only Oscars, by the way. Hello.
What's that?
I said g'day, only Oscars. I think I missed saying hi to only Oscars. I think I got everyone else there.
Right.
And Pam is still here, painting or drawing. Oh, actually, just finished a drawing. Well done. You can come up and show it if you want, Pam. I'll put you on my stream any day of the week. Mainly just Wednesday, because that's when I stream. Hang on. What was I going to say? I've already forgotten.
That's great. Well, actually, so we've immediately gone down the gun argument, right? Well,
Let's
everyone
just leave it
has
alone.
knives. Well, everyone has knives. Why don't people get stabbed all the time? And you'd be like, but people get stabbed all the time. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, people get stabbed all the time. They don't die as often because, medical science, we're able to stop the bleeding and stop them from dying, right? So,
I'm gonna take the gun violence issue
right.
and throw a spin on it. Bring back samurai.
So everyone has a sword. Yeah.
No, not everyone. Just It's like Judge Dredd. There's a samurai in every town.
We already have that. They're called
Bulletproof
police.
armor, bulletproof armor, swordproof
Yes.
armor with a sharp sword. And
We have those
he's the
guys. They're
man,
called police officers.
but they don't have the armor, and that's what
Yes, they
sucks.
do. They're all wearing body armor. Welcome to
No,
America,
They're not like
baby.
a samurai. It's not all shiny and fucking chrome, man. Shiny and chrome. Doesn't
Yeah,
look good.
people used to respect their samurai.
Right.
The police have lost
Fucking
a lot of
right.
respect.
Yeah. There's so much culture to be explored.
Right.
If we had a
could bring
samurai
back
in
the
every
samurai.
town,
It didn't work
who just
well,
cut
though.
you down if you did something wrong, people would stop doing wrong things.
You
Seriously.
will you will remember, like, what brought down the samurai.
They were being dicks.
What's that?
They were being dicks.
Well, no, what brought them down? What was the downfall of the samurai?
The emperor betrayed them, and so they all
Right.
went down.
The introduction of
Firearms.
firearms, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the samurai were over there and you just shot at them with your musket and then they died way over there.
Yeah.
They couldn't get to you. So yeah.
They couldn't throw their shuriken far enough.
Couldn't get it. Not enough distance. Not the same distance. No.
Surely with our modern technology, we could revive the samurai.
I mean, we could bring them back. I mean, guys with swords. But here's the problem. Do you know anybody in the 21st century who's actually going to dedicate themselves to a craft like learning how to actually fight with a sword, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like not many.
But it's
any.
it's not the
We'd have-
fighting as such. It's the
Oh, and
I
then
have a
imagine
knife,
this.
I will kill you because you fucked up.
Imagine there was imposter samurai
Yeah.
who just got the outfit. Now they start fighting the regular samurai, but they're not even
Right.
following the rules anymore. So they got tasers and lasers and all
And
sorts
danger.
of
Yeah, I get ya.
dangers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we can't even verify if the samurai we have are the right samurai. Now we have maybe all samurai are imposters. I don't know. We must.
Right.
That sounds exactly like the police force.
And then the
Yeah.
next thing you know, everyone's going to the hardware store because they got to make chemical concoctions to create chemical warfare, mustard gas in the streets. It's just, chaos. So, we'll just, I guess, stay the same.
Hey, I've got some news as well.
What's
since
that?
We're
What is
since we're talking about changing the subject.
We got to.
I finally have remained over 760 subscribers for more than a few days.
I saw 761.
Yeah, amazing. G'day, Scotty.
That's
Alien
awesome.
World Airsoft.
How do we? Well, I mean, I was gonna say, how do we get you over 1,000 subscribers? And I already know the answer, so I don't even know why I was gonna ask it. You have to make YouTube videos and then upload them. Yeah, that's how that goes.
Or I have to come on your live stream and let you promote me on there.
I suppose. I don't know if that would help you though, to be honest.
I was in.
I think we need to have a team up, Blacky. I'll come and be your cameraman, and we'll do some Marvel team up action and do some videos together.
Sketch comedy.
Well, a bit of wildlife exploration, a bit of comedy, but we've got to make some content.
Yeah,
Content.
that's true.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, my time has. I mean, I had plenty of time recently, but yeah, now my time is probably more devoted to looking after old people on the regular.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah. So
Scotty
Alien
makes a
World,
good point.
Alien World Airsoft has the point here. Just start making shorts like with your phone, and just posting them up. Just start making making shorts and post them up.
Hello.
Hey,
I think I
Hello.
might have brought
Hello.
Pam up too early, did I?
hello,
I got it. I got
Hello?
it. I just had to get the
Hello?
sound off.
hello, hello.
Hey, Pam.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, tired, cold. listening to Joel complain about it being 30 degrees there, and it's like 0 degrees here.
Hey man,
Zero degrees.
You live in the tundra, man. Move. I don't know. What do you want me to do?
It was a couple weeks ago. It got down to minus 30, which was just really nice because I just have a couple little heaters. So my house got down. Inside the house got cold enough to where the dog's water dish froze.
Oh, that's great.
That was fun. I spent like 2 days underneath in a blanket fort on my bed with the blankets over my head and everything, like body heat heating me up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, the issue that I have is that when it's cold enough for the water to freeze outside, it's cold. I don't know, you know. And then, so if I go like, oh, it's cold outside, then invariably, like somebody from Siberia will send me an email that's like, if you go outside, it's so cold right now in Russia, you will just die. It's negative 150 degrees, you know, whatever, you know, and you're like, okay, that's cool.
Wyoming,
you know, and then I'll go like, oh, it's 100 degrees. It's super hot out, guys. It's super hot out today. Invariably, I'll get an email from somebody that's like, have you ever been to the surface of the sun? Do you know how hot it is here? I live on the sun and I'm on fire right now. You don't even know what's happening. And I'm like,
Wyoming is frequently colder than like North Pole.
Yeah, I don't know. You live in the crazy tundra, and I would move there. I tried to move there at one point, but they were like, you could either live in a shack that's going to blow over if a wolf comes by.
But you know, you were talking.
If you've ever read that story, the wolves, they do come by the way, because they come with the little pigs and all that, and they come and get my little pigs. And then, or they were like, it's $5 million for this somebody's ranch that somebody's grandpa bought for a book of matches in 1843. You know, whatever.
You were talking about guns, though. You should sometime look up number of guns per capita.
Yeah.
And Wyoming is number 1 in the United States with the number of guns per capita per 1,000 people.
Right.
But what's really funny when you look it up is like the second highest one. I forget where it is, but it has like the top out of the top 5. Like the ones below Wyoming are like 43 guns per 1,000 people and like that. Wyoming is like 259 guns per 1,000 people.
Right.
It's like it goes from 43
like
to 200 and something in Wyoming.
There's only like 4,000 people in Wyoming. That's why, though. They just got piles of guns and like 10 people wandering around. You know?
And carrying them.
And it's like, well, you know what's funny is like, you know, people will tell, you know, like from Wyoming or North Dakota or something, they'll be like, well, everyone here has a gun and hardly anyone ever gets shot. But like, if you actually look it up, you start to look up like per capita numbers of like how many people get shot in those states. And it's like 10 times the amount as like a state like Washington. You know, it's like in Washington, it's like 3 per 100,000.
You got to remember, Wyoming is full of dumbass cowboys.
Right.
I mean, Wyoming is full of dumbass redneck cowboys.
Right. So I think Wyoming has a population of like 640 something thousand people.
Not even that much. It's like 583,000 people.
Something like that.
For the whole state, yeah.
So like per state representative in all of the United States, each state representative represents an average of 860,000 people or something like that. So the state representative from Wyoming actually doesn't even meet the threshold of the average.
It's Wyoming has the lowest population.
They only have one, and it wasn't it Dick Cheney's daughter, and then now you got somebody else.
Yeah, there's a few people. They're trying to. Wyoming hit the news again. They're trying to pass a law that electric cars will be illegal in the state of Wyoming within like 10 years or something. They're trying to pass a law to outlaw them here because because Wyoming is full of dumbass redneck cowboys.
Right. It's so funny because because I'm involved in all these groups of like electricians and contractors and plumbers and stuff. And this is one of the funniest things. I will see these giant threads of all of these electricians that are literally just hillbilly boomers from out. They live in a tree fort somewhere, and they start screaming about how electric cars are going to be the ruination of the world. And I'm like, you're an electrician and you don't want electric cars? Like, what?
Yeah, well,
Are you
Wyoming,
literally advocating to like get rid of your own job, your own career?
the
Like,
deal,
what
the
is
deal with
wrong your
Wyoming
brain?
is Wyoming is very heavily a gas state. So
Oh, I know, because you're
that's the deal.
fracking everywhere, and it's disgusting.
Yeah,
So
yep,
it's
exactly.
going to be the downfall of Wyoming once you finally realize that you don't have clean drinking water anymore. You won't be able to ranch anymore.
Yeah.
Once
my God,
once
you know
the
that they were
tumbleweeds
trying-
die off.
Luckily, it got shut down, but they were trying to okay fracking in Yellowstone Park. It's like
Oh
that's
my
just
God.
what we need is fracking in a fucking volcano. You know.
Right.
A
Yeah.
super volcano, mind
Also
you.
considering,
Yeah.
also take into consideration, an average of 6 people die in Yellowstone every year just from falling into the volcanic
Acid pits.
water in the ground.
and petting the fluffy cows. Don't forget that.
I think it's a higher number for the fluffy cows. These are just people that fall off the boardwalk into the bubbling sulfur water.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what are you? You're insane. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
That's
you know,
some nice art, Pam. Look at that
That's when
doggo.
it finished.
you know, the funny thing
gorgeous.
with the fracking, that's actually beautiful. That's so good. Did you post the prints of those yet?
No, I just finished it like 10 minutes before I came on.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I got to take a picture of it in the morning.
Yeah, it's great. Is that for somebody?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
cool.
commission of somebody's
All
dog.
right. You gotta love commissions, man. That's the way to go.
Yep.
But yeah, the thing with fracking is super funny because I was talking to a buddy of mine who was like, well, you know, fracking, it's gonna blah blah blah, and I was like, you can actually go back and just look up like why they were approving fracking in the first place. It was supposed to be a bridge to doing newer technologies like wind, like hydro, like geothermal, like all of these new solar, all that kind of stuff. We were supposed to be doing fracking so that we could get cheap energy in order to launch the newer technologies that are a better application for the future, because, well, it's going to cost extra money to, say, install enough solar to run a city, right? Well, like, we were supposed to be getting the cheap energy so that we could manufacture solar at a lower price, but like they just went, oh, hey, fracking, cheap gas, let's go crazy. Like, let's just sell the gas cheaper, let's go, you know. And it's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is.
Everything in Wyoming is unfortunate, Joel.
I
Everything.
don't think fracking.
It's embarrassing to live here sometimes when I watch the news and I see Wyoming pop up. I'm like, oh my God, what have we done now?
What have we done now? Yeah. One of the places that Vicky and I went to look at in Wyoming was like just south of the Shoshone Reservation there. You go through the Canyon of the
Wind River.
Wind River, the Canyon of the Winds or something. Yeah, Wind River. You go
Wind
Wind
River
River
Canyon,
Canyon,
yeah.
you go through there and you go south, and then like two of the highways meet up and there's like a town there. And there was like 3 or 4 properties in that town that we went to go look at. They're going to be very much like old brick buildings that would be converted into a living space. So we went to those, and we went to that town, and we're touring around the town. Like, we stayed there for a little while. We like looked at the properties, like, okay, we were like kind of weighing it out. And then we went to look at the school district, and it started to really elucidate like how lacking things are in areas like Wyoming. We went to the school and we go like, what's up? Okay, so like, let's check out what's going on with the school. It's a 1-room schoolhouse. The year before that, the high school graduation class was one person.
Yeah, it's like that in some places
And
here. It's like
they
that
go
in some
like,
places
well,
in
how many
Montana
students?
still too.
I go, how many students do you have here? And they go, 8. And you
Yeah.
go, this is kindergarten through 12th grade, and you hold on. Let me do some math here, because you go kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. I'm starting to do my math here, and I'm going like, you have grades with no kids in them, correct? They're like, yep. And I go, do you
Yeah.
have a teacher? And they go, technically, yes, we have a teacher because they're required to by law, but they're like, they just help the other teachers, but they're I'm like, how are you even teaching anything to like one? I guess it's a one-on-one class where they just stare at the child like, we're here to learn, it's you and me, 3rd grade, let's do it,
When
I don't know.
when I lived in
Crazy.
Montana, when I first lived in Montana, I lived in a little town outside of Billings called Huntley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, you talk about a backwards town. Oh my God. We'd moved there from Cape Cod, and my daughter was in the 6th grade, right?
Right.
So she's out on the playground one day in the spring, and it started raining.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to everybody, I mean, the whole class was out there. She said, April showers bring May flowers, but what does Mayflower bring? Pilgrims, right? And nobody in that 6th grade class knew who the Pilgrims were.
Wow.
Nobody knew who the Pilgrims were, Joel, in a
Why would
6th
you?
grade class.
Yeah. Well, no, and the funny thing is that over the last 20 years, having been more and more exposed to so many people like from around the U.S., let alone around the world, obviously. Literally talking to 2 chuckleheads from Australia at the moment. One of them left. One of them he's off on a walkabout. I think he went on a walkabout. You think?
Yeah, I
He's
think
on
so.
He's on a walkabout. I think he's got some parental technical difficulties.
He's got
He'll
to go put another shrimp on the barbie. Yeah. Sorry, that's racist. But anyhow, like having met so many people and have had so many conversations with people from around the states, and you start to realize like when you talk to somebody and they're screaming about how the schools are indoctrinating and blah blah blah.
Oh my God, no.
There is a big possibility that like if you're from a state like Mississippi, like you may have been indoctrinated by the local school system there that has been influenced so deeply by the local population and like for instance the church and stuff like that.
But it's getting
you
so
guys
bad.
can't teach that in school. You can't teach that in school, blah blah, right? And to realize that like, well, in the area that I grew up, like I grew up in an area that is like very diverse. Like I had, by the time I got to high school, like when I went to high school, I had actual doctorates, like teaching at our school, like actual doctors in like our science teacher was a professor. Like he became a high school teacher instead because he was like, well, college kids are kind of stupid. So I'm going to come teach at this new school. Because the school that I went to was a brand new, like the first year I went to that high school, it was a brand new facility. So it had brought in like a lot of new teachers.
Yeah.
Things way back in the dark ages when I went to high school, like one of my school was one of the first schools to have internet at it, right? Back then people were like, what's the internet? You have to call it on the phone? It was like you could actually look things
are
up.
getting bad though, Joel. My oldest daughter is a teacher and she's ready to quit. Mm-hmm. She's ready to quit because the classes she was hired in Rainier in Oregon this year to teach art. And they said, well, you can start teaching art a couple months from now, but for now we're going to have you teach the 7th graders. And she said the classes are so out of control that and you can't yell at the kids. You can't discipline them. They have absolutely no respect for any of the adults. And she said she's got like, she's the only person in there, and she's got a class of almost 40 kids. And out of those kids, 15 of them have papers saying that they're high, like ADHD or whatever, and need special care.
Mm-hmm.
And she's by herself.
Right.
And she says that the kids just tell her to fuck off or whatever they want to, and there's no discipline for them. She can't do anything.
Right.
Wow.
And the parents aren't of these people that watch Fox News and shit, don't help any, because they're teaching the kids that don't respect the teachers, don't listen to them because they're trying to teach you things that aren't right, so it's getting really bad. And she's starting to look around for something else to do because she just can't take it anymore.
Sounding more and more like the Man in the High Castle could be a nice thing to explore for American culture. Bring some Japanese perfection to your systems. Because seriously, the idea of freedom is all great and well, but if you don't have order, you have chaos.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what she says. That's what the classroom is like. It's just it's total chaos, and she's not allowed to do anything. And she says even detention and stuff doesn't do anything. I mean,
Right.
And she says she can't get any help. She needs more than one person in a classroom like that.
Right. Yeah,
For sure.
And so I mean, yes, the thing that you highlighted on has been a problem for the last 50 years at least, that classroom size is unmanageable once you get over 22 kids. Like, I've known that for decades now. That's not a secret. It's not it's well known. So if we have educational systems that are underfunded and you don't have enough teachers to break up the classrooms so that
and it's getting worse. It's really getting worse because of the propaganda of like Tucker Carlson saying that the teachers are corrupting your kids, and then that gets passed out from the parents to the kids.
Well,
and that is totally okay. There's no respect. There's no respect for the teachers whatsoever.
Okay, so I'll push back. I want to push back on that a little bit. Like, yes, Tucker Carlson is an issue. When I was a kid, Rush Limbaugh was an issue.
Oh God, I hate Rush Limbaugh.
when Z-Beam was a kid, Ronald Reagan was an issue. When Pamela, when you were a kid, McCarthy was an issue. This has been going on forever. There's always been negative propaganda, but the big problem is now not the kids. The kids have always been the problem, whether it was the hippie kids or was it the disco kids?
Well, a lot of it is
punk rock kids, or was it the rap kids? Was it they're listening to rap urban music, right? Like that's the kids have always been the problem. Nowadays, the parents are the ones falling for the propaganda. They go to the
exactly. That's what my daughter said. She can't take the emails from the parents and stuff, and she says it's like totally ridiculous and out of control.
And my big issue now is not the kids. My issue isn't the kids. My issue isn't the teachers. My issue is the parents have fallen for the propaganda.
Exactly. Exactly.
They go down to these school teacher meetings and they're screaming and yelling and they're talking about how they're going to homeschool their kids. And it's like, hey, if you're going to homeschool your kid, go for it. Get out of here. Go home. Teach your kid 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And then we'll see you next week when you just realize how ridiculous of an idea that actually is. So,
how good would it be if all of the homeschooled parents, like the homeschooling parents, instead of homeschooling their kid and dipping out of the system, actually went to the school and were able to do educational apprenticeships in the schooling system, so there was more than one teacher?
Well, the problem is that like there's no vetting process for your parents to suddenly show up and be exposed to my kids, right?
Well, that's What would you prefer?
Would I prefer a bunch of like weird, unvetted, like random pedos from the neighborhood showing up at school?
Reagan crap in their head, educating your kid because there's only one teacher and there's 30 kids there, and the damaged kids are shouting their bullshit ideas to all the other kids,
right?
Rather than maybe a scary threat of non-vetted or vet them, but just another parent being in the classroom,
So
helping with the teaching duties.
So the answer to the question that I think you're trying to ask is that currently, right now, our school systems are mostly funded by property taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
So the property taxes of an area dictate generally the operating budget of the schools in an area, right? So if you have, say, because I know you guys live near a bunch of $1 million houses, I know you guys live near them, like you know where they are, the big fancy neighborhoods where you live. In the United States, those schools would be significantly nicer than the schools, 10 miles away in the poor neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
In Australia, you have sort of, we're blanketly going to fund our schools regardless of where they are because we've deemed there needs to be a school here because there's kids, so we're just going to do that. We don't have that in the US. A lot of the funding comes from local property taxes that are collected, and then a distribution you end up with schools that don't have a lot of funding, right? And then schools that do have a lot of funding, right?
My counterpoint to that is, does a homeschooling parent get paid to homeschool?
They get tax benefits or something. Yeah, I forget what it is. But
seriously, voluntary work ethics is a massive part of society, and not everyone gets paid, So,
well, hey man, like I agree. But if we're all going to stand around like hoping that charity is going to solve our problems,
nice.
it's just not going to it's not going to work, right?
Yeah, but if you've got homeschooling parents who probably need some education on how to be good homeschooling parents, coming in for maybe 2 days a week and in the classroom with the other primary school teacher who's classically trained, that's got to be a better outcome than having just one paid teacher and the class going stupid.
Okay, let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an anecdotal example that I experienced myself, right? My daughter was going to a different daycare that was properly vetted, licensed, bonded, insured, all of the things. We toured the facility. We met all the people. We were going there day to day. And my daughter came home one day singing songs about Jesus.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
The lady had been singing songs about Jesus to my daughter.
Right.
Okay? Whether you believe in Jesus or not, frankly, I don't give a damn. Don't be teaching that to my daughter. You're allowed to believe whatever you want.
Yeah.
Why is my daughter singing Jesus songs at your school, at your daycare? Right? So, I go down there and I go like, what is the deal here? Like, why are you teaching Jesus songs to my daughter? They're just really nice, wholesome songs. I go, they're your church songs. I don't want to go to your church. I don't have anything to do with your church. Quit trying to teach my daughter about your church. Whatever your weird religion is, where you believe that there's some guy in the sky who's going to give you diamonds after you die, or whatever the thing is that you believe in, is nonsense. Don't teach it to my daughter, okay? Teach her ABCs, teach her colors, teach her that kind of stuff.
They got to get him in early.
Right.
G'day, Xanadu.
The reality is that those people, while good intentioned, okay, I don't believe it was out of malice. I don't think it was, and we didn't have like an angry discussion about it. It was quite friendly, right? But still, it's a level of like, you are literally teaching a religion to my daughter that is not, no. Like, what are you doing, right? So if we go, okay, we're going to go to public school, now all of a sudden we have a bunch of volunteer people to try and help out who are unvetted, who maybe like believe in Jeebus or whatever, and they're just going to be there all day singing songs about Jesus with my kids. Now we have a fundamental problem because that's a public school that is funded under the amendment of our Constitution that says the separation of church and state, right? And schools are funded by state and federal taxes, right? So
Yeah.
you can't be teaching church at school. You
Right.
could teach like what the church is, I guess, if you wanted to take that class later on, but you can't be teaching, that kind of stuff. But just imagine like how bad the school teachers meetings, the parent meetings, the PTA meetings and stuff like that would get if suddenly somebody was teaching, I don't know, Islam to the kids or what, I'm just
healthy.
teaching my religion to all these kids. It's cool. Right.
That'd be healthy to have a diverse sample of what is culturally relevant to the planet. Like if America's going to continue being the world police of the planet, you guys have got to step up and be worldly rather than insular.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that we should be more disciplined like Japan, right? Like we should be following
bringing all the positive cultures
I'm just saying,
from all around the
right.
world.
Right. I'm saying let me finish. You said we should bring in and be more disciplined like Japan. Japan doesn't allow immigration into their country. They're running out of young people to do anything. They're running out of young people. They have the oldest population in the world. They have the oldest population in the world because they're not a melting pot like the United States is.
Exactly.
So being open-minded is different than indoctrinating my 4-year-old child to your weird religion, right?
I get you.
And by the way, Christianity is a super weird religion. It's insane.
It is.
Yeah. It's very common to find Christians in the United States, but it is a super weird, insane religion.
Oh yeah, I was raised drinking blood, eating flesh.
Right, it's crazy.
Zombie Jesus, Catholicism. It's pagan as hell.
Right,
like
it's bonkers.
All the candle magic and all the festivals. Like Catholicism is the original mother church. Right. Everything else is just an offshoot.
When my son Tucker was like 12, 13 years old, Joel, we lived in a little town in eastern Washington, kind of outside of Othello, a little town called Rural City. And he wanted to join the Boy Scouts because a lot of his friends were in Boy Scouts and stuff. And one of the badges that he was required to get was for going to church a couple of times. But I found out it wasn't just any church. He was required to go to the Mormon church.
Ooh.
Because that area is heavily Mormon. And I was like, what the fuck? Somehow I don't think this is quite the way it's supposed to be in the Boy Scouts.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I left the Boy Scouts for religious reasons as well, because they wanted to start every meeting with the Lord's Prayer or something, and that wasn't my cup of tea even as a teenager.
Yeah, actually yesterday I met up with a guy that I've known for about 30 years, and we were reminiscing about the old days, right? And the thing is that like. Pamela brought up a good point of like detention, right? And in my freshman year of high school, I had detention every single day except for 2 days. And those are the 2 days that the detention teacher called the police because they assumed I must have died or something, or something happened because I didn't show up to detention those 2 days. Those are the 2 days that what has happened. It's unbelievable. Where is he?
Something is not lined up right in the world.
And
oh goodness.
So like detention wasn't necessarily a deterrent for me. I got detention multiple times because I refused to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't pledge an allegiance under a god. The level of indoctrination is insane. And the thing is that like the guy I was talking to yesterday, his wife, who he has kids in the United States with, is from Spain. She emigrated here when she was like 24, something like that. And she's they have two twin daughters that are 9, and there have been so many times where she's had to go to the school and be like, my daughters aren't pledging to God for the United States, for instance, right? Like, she's like, this is insane. Why would you have your kids do this every day? You pledge allegiance to what is this? This is crazy, right? And she's from Spain, and it's like, we would never do this in Spain. Like, this is bonkers. Like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. And so it's a level of that. Like, you know, I got detention like tons of times because I refused to stand up for the national anthem. And this is 20, I'll try to do the math now on how many years ago that was, and that's disturbing. But
27
years ago or something like that. Yeah.
My
And
50th class reunion is this summer.
Uh-oh.
50th class reunion.
Mine's coming up. I'm just realized that mine's coming up fairly soon now.
Your 50th.
You know, it's like
years since I graduated. Yes.
Well, yeah.
I think
at least it's
the
negative 30 out.
I think the year that I graduated school, we have like a Facebook group, and we did a 30th year reunion. And what did we do? Or are we coming up to 30? Yeah, no, I don't know. Anyway, the last one that they started bandying around saying, do we do a reunion this year? There wasn't a lot of communication about that, so I don't think any further reunions are going to happen for my graduating class.
Yeah, I guess Jimmy P is mad at me. No need to ask if Joel served his country at this point. Every other male in my family served in the Navy and the Marines. From my great grandfather was a soldier and moved here from Denmark. Every man in my family has been in the military, the United States military. And I saw what it did to them. So I decided to not serve in the United States military. At the age of 30, I did go down to the recruiting office to see if I could serve at what I considered to be a more appropriate age. The only unit that would take me in would have been the Army, in which I would have been a chef, which I already had done that for many years in my career. So, no, I ended up deciding to pass on that offer. So,
Saints Dust, we'll see you next time. Thanks for swinging by.
But because we're not supposed to be a military nation, you don't have to have served in the military to be a citizen in this country. So it's not a requirement.
Have I shown you my American steel?
Your American steel?
Yeah, my knife.
Your blade?
Blade.
I graduated in 1973.
Right.
A year before I was born.
Pamela, did you serve in the military?
No, hell no.
Oh. Well, that's good. Jimmy P served for you.
Okay.
I mean,
you were talking about.
You do 4 years. You do 4 years, just like the college kids do, and then but the difference is that you get health care and money for the rest of your life. That's the big difference. Support
It's a
your
pretty
local,
good option.
What is it? Let me see. Support your local knife maker. All right.
You were talking about Catholics, and all religion is a little bit weird in a way, but the other night when Blacky was on my stream and Terry came up and he was laughing at me and Ed for talking about Wendigos and skinwalkers. Remember that, Blacky?
Yeah.
He thought it was hilarious that we even mentioned them. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know, you don't laugh at people when they say that there was a talking snake that told somebody to eat an apple. You don't laugh at people that say that there was some guy that had 2 of every animal in the world walk onto his boat, but you're going to laugh at the Indians or the Native Americans who believe in skinwalkers and wendigos.
Mm-hmm.
I
Bit of
mean,
a
what's the
double standard.
difference? It's what you
Well
grow up
said.
with and what you believe. You know what?
Well
you know what
said.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. G'day, ugly man. Mickham.
G'day.
Joel G. I'm not sure if I got a g'day out to you, Joel G, when you first popped up. Sorry about that.
I think it's
So
our
for
duty
Jimmy,
to actually
I think Jimmy, I think
reassess the mythologies and actually treat them with respect, because
What-
oral traditions,
hello.
history for non-writing peoples, and to say that if it wasn't written in a book, it's not real, like that's just some serious garbage. Like, to say that oral traditions are all just mythology and it's all lies or stories and made up and make believe is
Just because it wasn't
yeah.
written down.
because it wasn't written down. What a crock of shit.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
History is written by the victors.
History is
Yeah,
written by
so-
the typesetters.
some slight history on my family. So my grandfather on my dad's side was a bombardier captain in World War II and committed untold bombing atrocities in his over 60 sorties that he flew over the Pacific, bombing all sorts of whoever happened to be however many feet below. My dad was a chief petty officer in the Vietnam War and a flight mechanic on the A-16, was it, or the A-6 fighter planes. He also went on bombing runs himself. My other grandfather was a lieutenant admiral in the Navy, who also served during all the way through Vietnam. Then later became a salesman, believe it or not. My uncle was a radio operator in the Vietnam War. My other uncle was a stationed mechanic here in the Navy. My cousin was a Marine during the first Iraq War, where he was deployed in Iraq. My other cousin was a what do you call that? He was one of the, what do you call it? Like special ops people for like propaganda, like whatever the propaganda wing is of the Navy, who now is actually a like he's a federal gun guy, like he's a gun dealer basically. I have another
That'd
cousin
be great
who
to see
joined
on a business
who-
card.
I have another cousin who
Such and such
was in the
Christensen,
Navy and
federal gun.
washed out after he was injured. So yeah, I mean, and that's just a few of the very close people. I can continue and tell you about the more and more military people of my family. I decided at a young age to not join the military because of
Marty, hello.
the issues that all of my family members had, all of the men in my family had, that all of the men that I looked up to, including my father. One time that I saw my father cry when I was a kid was I found his photo album from the Vietnam War. While we sat there and looked through it, I was like probably 9, and my dad chain smoked cigarettes, had a lot of anger issues, was an extremely violent and angry person, and the one time I saw him cry was while he sat there and looked through the black and white pictures of all the people who died, all of the guys who died that he was deployed with. Right? So if you're a small child who has a dad who looks like fucking Chuck Norris, right, acts like a raving lunatic on a regular basis, is the strongest person you've ever met, who is a guy who will dig a hole with a stick if you gave it to him, was sit down and cry because of all the men that died, what kind of impression do you think that would leave on a kid? Boy, I should really sign up for that. Do you think? Do you think?
Yeah. Yep.
And when I go talk to my estranged grandfather, who did everything in his ability to stay away from the military after how many people he killed, he felt responsible for it, right? Bombing all over the Pacific to try and fight Japan from potentially invading the United States, to have raised two sons and two daughters that moved away because they didn't want to be near the family. One son who moved up in the mountains and died at 45, which, by the way, is only 3 years older than I am right now. And you go like, boy, should I sign up for that? Should I sign up for something where every man that I know close into my family was deeply traumatized by? You think I should go sign up for that? Because when you really got down to brass tacks of how it had affected them to have gone out to war, what was the benefit? Yeah, sure. When you go to Denny's on a Sunday morning, people would tell them, thank you for your service. That was their reward, is that somebody would sort of give them a really vacant, like, oh, thank you for doing that thing, guy. Okay, back to whatever I was doing. In the meantime, they lived through their whole lives of trauma, right? So, yeah, I didn't sign up. I didn't sign up at the time. Like I said, when I got older, I decided, like, I probably should go try to sign up. But by that time, I was 30 years old, and I needed to have a bunch of wacky paperwork, honestly, to get an exemption to get in because I was too old at 30, right? So
I wanted to indoctrinate.
Yeah, it's like, you know, how are you going to indoctrinate this old guy who is actually willing to serve now, you know? So, and by the way, all they wanted to do was go like, well, you have all this like amazing cooking experience. You'd be a great chef. And it's like, what? I'm gonna go just be a chef for a bunch of people who don't care about food. Like, why would I go? Huh? Yeah, you know. So yeah.
G'day, Fishy Mon.
Thank you for that outpouring of experience, Joel. That was moving, man.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to like making your bed and doing PT, physical training, doing all that kind of stuff, I do all that stuff. I also do a shitload of reading. I do a shitload of listening to stuff that's going on. I do the best that I can to be a solid American. I spend as much time as I can with my kid. I try to have a good life balance, do the things. I pay my taxes. I do all the stuff I'm supposed to do. But yeah, you know, when it comes down to like that argument of like, well, you didn't serve your country. It's like, okay, well, what's the total population that actually serves in our military? It's like 0.5. What is it? 5% of the total population. So it's like the only deserving of the sacrifices that people have made are only this small group. You know, I meet people on a regular basis that are wildly dedicated to the benefit of our population. Like my mother, who was a nurse for almost 50 years of her life, saving lives on a daily basis in the emergency department. Nobody ever salutes or goes to my mom and goes, thank you for your service of almost 50 years of saving people's lives. No one thanks her for her service. She doesn't have a hat. Her best friend has a hat because she was a lieutenant in the Army. She was a nurse in the Army. Okay? They thank her for her service every time she goes. But almost 50 years that my mom dedicated to saving people's lives in the operating room. My mom was an emergency room nurse, charge nurse, for decades.
Yeah.
decades of people, gunshot victims, chainsaw victims, stabbing victims, car crashes, people with rubella, whooping cough. I mean, go down the list, right? No one ever thanks her for her service. You know, they gave her an award for like posthumously doing work, right? You know, how many
So,
school teachers are being thanked for their service when they go to Denny's on a Sunday? How many
Joel,
school teachers that are dealing with 40 kids every single day of the week where their parents are basically they're just off doing their own thing, right? How
Joel,
many of these parents are
in,
just on
in
Instagram all day while their kids are
Joel,
running around
in
doing
your
whatever,
country,
right?
do you have a thing like we have the RSL, Return
Return
Servicemen's League?
Servicemen's League.
Oh yeah, we have the Eagles, we have the VFW, we have there's a
Yeah,
whole,
but
there's a
are
whole
they
bunch.
pubs?
What's that?
Are they public bars?
Some of them.
Some of them
Drinking
are, yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are.
Because the ones in Australia, they're awesome.
Right.
The clubs just link everyone together, and we all. That's how me and Blacky met. Actually, was
Yeah,
at the local RSL.
Mhm.
So we were just having beers and showing a respect for the veterans and the wives of veterans, and that whole system to keep them honored and keep them fed and keep them entertained. You know, like that's massive, a massive part of Australian culture.
Right.
It works really well over here.
Yeah, there's plenty of entertainment for the veterans. Yes, there's lots for them. They have their own hospitals. They have their own clubs. They have their own groups. They have their own. They have lots of charity organizations. There's a lot of support
But are
for
those
veterans
clubs
in the
open
United
to
States.
the public?
What's that?
Are those clubs open to the public?
Like the Eagles is. Yeah, the Eagles are. Like there's a lot of Eagle stuff that you can go to. Like the VFW does some public, like open to the public stuff and everything. Like I'm not trying to downplay service. I'm not trying to downplay veterans. Like I'm deeply appreciative of veterans, but where's the deep appreciation for the guy who's been a waiter for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's been diligently showing up to his job, but frankly, if somebody like that was to show up, who was, I've been a waiter for 40 years and I'm getting ready to retire. Frankly, in this community, he'd probably just get shit on for being like, I don't know, why aren't you a vice president of operations for Amazon by now? Or whatever it is, right? But a guy that showed up every day to do his job for 40 years, right? But there's no parade for that guy, right? There's no parade for that lady. There's no, and so at some points in time, I have been critical of the hoisting up veterans as if there's some kind of like amazing, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain and put it into words at this moment because I hadn't really thought about talking about it right now. But so like a good example would be my uncle, who was a radio operator. He was in the force for 4 months. He wasn't injured. He supposedly had like hearing damage or whatever. He did 4 months. That was it. Like, he didn't get deployed anywhere or anything like that. Cody Donovan says, "Is the waiter putting his life on the line for others?" I will say that I've worked in many restaurants. I've worked in many construction sites. I've worked in many places, and a lot of people are putting their lives on the line every single day. Matter of fact, I saw a guy get hit by somebody driving 70 miles an hour while holding a sign on the side of the road to tell people to slow down.
Pretty much everyone.
Was he putting his life? Was he putting his life on the line? Yeah. You know,
It's just not as it's just not as obvious a risk as military service and stuff. So it gets a little bit less credit, I believe.
right?
Time is money, friend. Life, time. You put your effort in.
Oh,
you know.
let me ask the question. Did Donald Trump serve in the military?
Don't think so.
Did
Nope.
Donald Trump serve in the military? Did Donald Trump serve in the military?
Don't think so.
You know, I bet you don't care about that, do you? I bet you don't care. Because supposedly the military was out of bullets and he got them more bullets. In his words, they were out of ammo, is what he said.
Oh. See, we fight wars with movies like Mad Max and the whole
Right.
analogy of the bullet farm.
Yeah.
In one of the Mad Max films.
I don't mean to like jump in and be all crazy or anything, but
That's all right. That's all right.
Sure, you do.
So the bullet farm, America, you've taken over. Like I tried to find some of my good old Chinese throwdowns on eBay. Can't get them, but I can get American-made throwdowns, no problem. So
for sure.
the bullet farm is spreading its wings, and apparently BlackRock is the business that is doing all of this shit. And a friend of mine reckons that BlackRock is actually run by an AI now.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for hanging out, Jimmy P. I'm sorry there was differences of opinion and stuff. I'm surprised Trump was the divisive thing, though. The biggest divisive thing.
Right. They don't care. They don't, that's kind of one of the issues is that like the hypocrisy is, oh, Joel's an asshole because he didn't serve in the military. But that guy, he's great. I like that guy. Right?
No, before you say things like that, you should go back and read through some of the comments that Jimmy P made, because he did explain where his opinion was coming from. That it wasn't calling you an asshole about not serving and stuff. There was, he had his reasons.
Oh, his initial reaction was that I should, what was it? I should hold my tongue because I mentioned that the Christian church is crazy, right? That was his initial thing. And then he was saying
he was saying that he respects people who have served, but he doesn't disrespect people who haven't served. So
then why would you be the person that asks that question then? If that's the case, why would you say it if you're not intended to be disrespectful, right?
I'm more interested in Xanadudu's question. Who was the last US president that served in the military? Was it John F. Kennedy, or was there someone after him? Do anyone know? Do anyone?
I think it was George H.W. Bush. I think.
Was he in the military? I thought he was just the head of the CIA.
Yeah, I think he was. He was in
yeah.
the military.
He was a military pilot and stuff.
Yeah, right. Thought he'd be too
let's
tall
see.
for being a pilot.
Yeah, George W. Bush was says he was a first lieutenant in the National Guard. George W. Bush was a first lieutenant in the Air National Guard. George H.W. Bush was a lieutenant in the Navy Reserve. Reagan was a captain in the Army Reserve. Jimmy Carter was a lieutenant in the Navy. Gerald Ford was a lieutenant commander, which was my grandfather's retiring rank. Richard Nixon.
Yeah, but I'll bet you that George Santos was a 5-star general.
Who?
Sorry,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't
that guy.
resist.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
actually, he was.
I couldn't
Yeah,
resist.
I mean, he was like a 6-star general. I think
Yeah,
he
yeah.
went above, he went beyond. Yeah.
I take it
Um,
that joke's supposed to go over Australians' head, is it? Because I didn't
Probably.
yeah. He's a guy in New York who was elected representative, and like everything that he
Everything that
that
he ran on and everything he said, they're basically finding out was a lie.
yeah, everything
Everything he
everything is a
says,
lie. They're not even sure if his name is George Santos.
yeah, everything is a lie.
Yeah.
And then stuff's coming out like he had supposedly had a fundraiser for like to help people with pets and stuff, and he made a fundraiser for a disabled veteran who was living on the streets for his dog because his dog needed surgery, and raised $3,000, and then took the money and never gave it to the guy for his dog.
Right.
Stuff like that.
crazy.
Real nice guy.
Yeah. And what's even crazier is that, like, Kevin McCarthy won't even like denounce him because it's like, well,
It's
It's
because
okay.
they don't want to lose the House.
Yep.
Majority.
It's literally just, oh, well, we barely got this tiny microscopic like paper thin majority in the House. If we lose one of them, they sure as hell aren't reelecting a Republican to that district.
Yeah.
But actually, one of the big problems that we're going to have here is that the House is such a thin majority that only the kookaloos are going to be the ones that are going to be heard over the next 2 years.
Yeah, and what was promised to them to get them to vote for the idiot leader. I mean, how much did they give up? How much power did they give to the cuckoos in the House?
Oh, they gave him a bunch of chairs on committee chairs and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm afraid there's going to be more than that. They gave them way too much control. Like to Marjorie Taylor Greene and those people.
Yep. I mean, I don't know. Lauren Boebert almost lost her reelection.
Oh my God, I was following that so close. I wanted her to lose so bad. It was so close.
They didn't even think
really
that
close.
was. They didn't even think that was even possible. They didn't even put any
and
money.
She
only
won by like a couple thousand votes.
No, 500 votes.
500 votes. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
out of
yeah.
like 260,000 votes, she only won by 500. Yeah, and which triggered a recount, and she won by 2 less votes once they recounted, but it was still 500. It's like 563 or something like that. Yeah, and then it was it's 561. So two.
And then she didn't learn anything from it. She went right back to being crazy.
She's been crazy the whole time. She never stopped being crazy.
Yeah, but you'd think she would have learned and kept her mouth shut afterwards, but no, she just went immediately back onto the crazy boat.
No, because once you've been reelected as a House representative, and you, if you do 2 terms, you get a pension after that. So she's gonna. Is it 2 terms or is it 3 terms? Hold on.
Chasing the life bank. I learned so much about American politics on my own live stream. It's ridiculous. G'day, Benoski.
Hello, Benoski.
I think they have to do 2 terms, or maybe it's 3 terms, but I think it's 2 terms, and then you get your lifelong pension after that.
See, Cat.
I'll have to find it.
Night, Cat.
Night, Cat. Thanks for hanging out. It's good to see you, as always. Well, see you, read you. It's good to read you.
Yeah, Xanadudu and Cody are talking about the Bush family, and if you start looking into the Bush family, you'd be freaked out.
Yeah, didn't HW's grandfather, wasn't he responsible for raiding Geronimo's graveside or something?
Something like that. A lot of
Some
crazy
famous
stuff.
Indians. Yeah.
A lot of crazy stuff in the Bush family. You know, and a lot of people don't realize that like H.W. Bush was Reagan's vice president, you know.
Yeah, right. I didn't
And
know that.
before that, he was the head of the CIA.
I knew that.
And you start to look at like H.W. Bush was responsible for like so many years of American politics. Like
Oh, that's so
head of the
true.
CIA.
Oh,
I think he was
that's
head of the
true.
CIA for 4 or 6 years or something like that. Then he was vice president for 8 years. Then he was president for 4 years. Then you throw Clinton in there for 8 years. Then his kid goes in for 8 years, right? The whole while, like Dick Cheney is just lurking in the background doing all sorts of crazy stuff, you know? And you're like, it's so many years that George H.W. Bush was heavily influencing like stuff that was going on in the United States. And it's just shocking. It's just shocking. I don't know. And I'm always surprised when people are like, yeah, well, you know, he only did 4 years as president, you know, and you're like, okay. Yeah.
Does he get thanked for his service?
All this other stuff. I said, thanks for your service. Thanks for your service, HW.
Only officers that look into any family and get freaked out.
Yeah.
I should tell you guys a little bit of my family history in the military.
All right. Let's go.
Okay. My mom was extremely beautiful. She was like movie star beautiful. And she always told us she had two. My older brother and sister are my half brother and sister, because she had another husband. And she always told us that she met my dad. She'd left her husband and she was working at a restaurant as a waitress in LA, and met my dad there, and they got married and stuff, right? So I heard that my whole life. Well, then when I moved out here, come to find out, I was talking to one of my aunts, and my mom was actually working as a waitress in Cheyenne, Wyoming, when she met my dad, and he was stationed at Fort Lewis. And my mom was still married and had an affair with my dad and ran off with him. And then he got caught and got thrown in the brig for a while for going AWOL and got a dishonorable discharge.
Wow.
So basically, yeah, I grew up hearing these lies that were total lies. But my mom, like I say, she was very beautiful. She always had to have a Cadillac, and she always worried tremendously about what everybody thought of her. She had to put on a big show for everybody. So yeah, that was my parents and my dad's military. Oh dear. So that's all I was going to say. That's enough family history from my end.
Yeah. One of my grandfathers, he was a quite a notable cricketer for New South Wales down here, and he was going off to war for World War II and broke both of his ankles in training or something, and didn't have to go to the war because of broken ankles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's my military story.
Got broken
That's
ankles. It's good enough.
Both of them. I can't remember. I must ask my mum actually what was the incident that he managed to break both of his ankles.
So do you want to hear my war story?
Of course we do. Well, that's what
All
we're
right,
doing,
okay.
aren't we?
Okay, war stories. All right. One of my grandfathers was a pioneer of the Cold War against the Russians. So he was stationed in Finland as a radio operator with the German army, helping the Finnish defend themselves against the Russian invasion. That's about as positive as I can be.
I misspoke, though. My dad was stationed at Fort Collins in Colorado. That's where he was. I think I said something else because I was trying to remember the fort down there.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait for replay team 6 to come back for that and
Yeah.
pick out the errors.
But
That's
yeah,
what they do.
just so you know, not every Nazi was a bad guy. Like there
No
was
doubt. They're only
was some-
human.
they're human beings, and they were doing some other stuff that our propaganda that we were brought up on just does not want to acknowledge. And
Every
that's-
Nazi
that's
was a bad guy.
What's that?
I said every Nazi is a bad guy. Period. End of story.
Well, that's the story, yeah. But
Mhm.
it's my grandfather was a nice guy. He was a nice man, and he was all teched up before everyone else, doing comms, doing what we're doing today, but organizing material to fight off Russian invasion.
You know, well, pretty much almost everything that we've said today is propaganda. I hope people understand that.
Yeah.
G'day, Aubrey. How's it going? The Emu War. What about the Emu War? It's every morning I wake up and I ask myself that question. The Forgotten War. Oh no, hang on. Was that the Korean War? The Forgotten War? Isn't something referred to as the Forgotten War? Because the Korean War wasn't a war, was it? It was never actually declared a war.
Yeah, I think it was like a
conflict or some
conflict
shit
or
like
something.
that.
Yeah, something weird like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd actually probably pay money to watch an emu war.
I'd probably pay for that.
That'd
I'd pay
be good
for that.
fun. Those
I'd pay
things are
money.
awkward. Cassowaries would probably be more fun. They're a bit more brutal than emus.
Mm-hmm.
Killers in the
World's
jungle.
most dangerous bird.
Oh yeah, the raptors, man.
Raptors, land
I've
raptors.
seen them up close. They're fucking dangerous.
Especially a mum.
A mum,
land
that's what I
raptors.
saw. A mum with a baby. We're driving by, and I'm like, "We've got to slow down. We've got to slow down." No, we got to get out of here.
Wind the windows up.
Yeah, I don't want to get attacked. It's not a photo opportunity. Put it that way. You don't
There
get
was-
out of the car and go, "Hey, let's take some pictures of this stunning wildlife." No, get me the fuck away from these raptors and their vicious.
You gotta weigh up your desire to get pictures or bleed to death.
Yeah.
My when my sister was living up at Innisfail in North Queensland, she was living out of the town and near this little coastal town, which was like quite popular with the tourists and stuff. And you'd go there, and there were just cassowaries walking around all over the place, and it was one of the most frightening experiences of my life being there in the summertime when they've, you've got cassowaries walking around with babies and stuff. But I think those ones are conditioned to human presence and stuff. So I don't think they're as aggressive because they're probably getting fed by the humans on occasion and realize that most of the humans aren't a threat. But yeah, I was certainly on edge when I'm first walking around and looking at cassowaries with babies wandering around with them.
That's how the trouble starts.
Yeah. When you think you're okay, and then you go
when a
want to
big
give it a
male
crack
goes,
under the pin.
"Oh, the women are getting fed for free. I'm going to get some of that action," and then you don't play the rules of their impossible psychic head games. Next minute, you're the target, and you're going to get your guts ripped out.
Yeah. Those males get cranky. G'day, Steve C. Big Shrimpin, aka Steve C. All of a sudden I've forgotten how to make words with my mouth.
You do the exercises.
No, I probably need to eat more food before I have 6 beverages on the trot.
That would help. Yes. Speaking of beverages, I'll be back in a minute.
Righto. So yeah, the dog looks good, Pam.
Oh, thank you.
certainly come a long way since Sunday or Saturday night, I guess, your time.
Saturday night, yeah. I was working on it. I just finished it, like, say, just before you brought me up, so.
Hang on. I'd like, oh, no, shit.
I'm gone.
Fuck.
You don't need to call me up. Everybody can see it good enough.
Yeah, everyone except
A
me.
bit of a
on
shine
mine,
on it,
probably.
so his nose isn't showing up as dark as it should. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, that's it.
I love little white dots in eyes to show reflected light and stuff. Very, 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 very cool. And it's a bit bigger than the ones you've been doing lately.
Yeah, that one's a 8x10. So
A5, is it? Is that what they call it in the paper trade?
I
Or
don't know.
You cut it to size.
I cut it the size.
Fair enough. Yeah, it looks good. I like it a lot. But I like most dogs. Dogs are cool. They're the best. Oh, I didn't.
How's your pops doing? What's going on?
Oh, he just struggles to move.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't had a ding dong at the moment because I put him on the toilet about half an hour ago when I left before. Might have to go and check on him shortly to make sure he's just not fast asleep sitting on the toilet because that's no good for his back, and his back's pretty fucked at the moment. Dang it. Where did I put those photos? My son Joshua brought up one of his snakes the other night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful snake. Push the right button, mate. That way, that way. That's not a snake.
That's a shrimp.
That's one. No, that's a prawn. Get it
It's
right.
prawn. Sorry.
Oh, what about this dude too? Jesus, I've forgotten about all this wildlife. I probably should make some shorts or something, shouldn't I? Out of all this wildlife that I've been videoing.
Yeah, I mean, you could just post them up. Like you could just do that.
I was outside late a few nights ago and I heard this ridiculous noise on the ground, and it turned out to be this whopping huge cicada struggling to get from its wings flipped over onto its feet. So of course I helped it out. It's what you do. Put it back
Of
on
course.
its feet. Oh, bloody glare. I hate glare. This is one snake, not two snakes. Please note the different colors.
Wow.
This is one snake, not two snakes. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
because it starts off at the top end, it's very orange, and then by the time you get to the tail, it's black. It's wild. It's such a beautiful snake. Not that one, not that one, not that one. Yeah, I'll try and find a still image instead of a video. Yeah, there we go. Still very difficult to show with all this glare.
Wow.
But yeah,
Beautiful.
who in their right mind would think that that's one animal with such different colouring?
It could be a chimera.
Maybe,
If it's
but
got
it's not.
zone pattern changes on its body, it might have different DNA in its sections.
Yeah, right. I see what you mean.
Is the color variation zoned or is it uniform?
It's like a blend when it goes from the orange to the black. There's like a. I'll see if I got any of that section. It sort of merges into one another. It's not like a straight line or anything.
Yep, that sounds like a chimera to me. I don't
Fair
think
enough.
it'll be fertile. Yeah, right.
Blue tongue lizard that's been hanging around for a few days. Yeah, I suppose the amount of wildlife I get wandering around, instead of just taking photos, I should just do 20-second
Video.
videos, shouldn't I?
Yes. Please
I'm
more
such a
contact
bad-
with Blacky.
Such a
More
spaz.
content, sir.
Really good news.
Yeah, new local Austin. When the shrimp are half one color, half the other, that's a genetic thing. It might be chimerism. I'm not too sure on the shrimp genetics, but when it comes to reptiles and vertebrates, it's definitely chimerism.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually surprised with the amount of different colours that I've got in my Cody. I'm black from the waist down. I should highlight. I've had some, like, I did not expect it at all, but I've got some black baby shrimp in my tank, and I thought because I've got pretty much what you'd call a Skittles tank, I wasn't expecting any of the solid colors to keep coming through, but I've got a bunch of black or dark blue, I guess they are really, and red ones as well, still coming through in all my baby shrimp. But probably in 12 months' time they'll just be all colorless, but I don't mind because I like them just as much as prawns. They're all good fun. 2 foot long bluey. Wow, GRB. That's
Wow.
a big one.
King skink indeed.
Yeah.
I hope you got some videos, man. That's world class. That's like the toad they found.
Yeah,
That-
the
I
2
caught
kilo one.
Yeah, I even caught that on CNN when I skipped through the American news channels. I was like, what? They're reporting on Australia's Toadzilla. It's monstrous.
Yeah, it's huge. Probably a female full of eggs.
Absolutely, grab it.
Because once they've got a belly full of eggs, they certainly put on some mass.
Yeah.
I remember hiking up in the hills of Maynarm, which is a section out beyond Josh and my house, and finding this massive cane toad. And I was carrying my snake stick at the time, which has a nice, lovely point on it, and in such lovely rainforest, I didn't want to leave a cane toad behind, so I proceeded to murder the cane toad and cut its belly open, and its belly just had this mass of black balls in it. It was so full of eggs. It was ridiculous.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I'm really, even though it was a murder, I will admit to that.
Yeah.
I potentially stopped, thousands of other cane toads entering that rainforest.
I did
Shoot.
one with a double bunger. It's very animal cruelty, but we had these bungers that would pop once and then a second bigger pop, and we forced the bunger into the male cane toad's mouth. Looked like a cigar. We all laughed as we lit it, and the first pop made him. He took it, and then the second blast happened and ripped
Pieces.
to shred. Yep. Ordered. Oh, poor cane toad.
Yeah, I know I laugh, but that's brutal, man. Goodness.
Yeah, well, I don't think anywhere else in the world has the same situation as cane toads in Australia, where you just go, yes, this is the only acceptable animal that you must murder. Like, you've got a moral duty as an Australian to at least off one cane toad in your lifetime.
Fiji, I reckon, as well.
As well, okay.
Yeah, yep. Exactly the same thing happened to Fiji as us. They were brought into there because Fiji was being used as a massive sugarcane growing country.
Yep.
So around the same time, back in the 1920s or 1930s, whenever it was, they also put them in Fiji. I somewhere, probably on a old mouldy videotape, there's footage of me out on the golf course at the resort that we had our honeymoon at when I was married. And under a light, and there was just hundreds of cane toads. So I'm just jumping around, jumping on cane toads with my wedding shoes on, murdering as many as I can with my heels of my boots. So I think it's generally an accepted rule in Fiji as well that you can murder your cane toads if you want, because there's plenty of them in backup.
Yeah.
Hang on. Huawei says, I like Blacky's. I'm assuming there's an apostrophe and an S on the end of their pronunciation of Fiji. How does everyone else pronounce it? Makes me feel like I'm saying it wrong.
Fiji. You put an emphasis on the G.
How is it supposed to be said?
That's how I always have said it, but I don't know.
There's no supposed to. It's language is language. Let's not if the message gets across, let's not pick apart.
Oh, as it's supposed to be Fiji.
Fiji, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense with the way there are syllables and their, what's the non-vowel letters called? Consonants. Yeah, that makes sense. Fiji. Ah, okay, Huawei, thanks. I like that you like how I pronounced it.
Oh.
I got to go and do a wee and make a drink, so you guys talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
No worries. What you been looking up, Corvus?
I'm just rendering a video.
Rendering a video.
Yeah, I was just rendering this dang video, setting it over there off to the side, and I couldn't figure out like where the hell the rendering scale was. It's like all I was finding was portrait mode, just not gonna work well with a landscape video, right? Because then you have black bars that are like this big at the top and the bottom, you know. And it was confounding me, and I was trying to figure out like what the F, what's going on here? Is it me? I think it was me. I don't know. So I just used a different template and resized it. Just probably not the right way of doing it, but F it. You know, like that's fine. No one cares.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, if it twerks, it twerks, right?
Yep. And how about you, Pam? What you been looking at?
I'm just watching the chat and you guys.
Ah, cool.
Trying to keep myself out of trouble, not make everybody mad at me.
I made everyone mad at me. Don't worry, they're all mad at me. Don't worry about it.
Get into it. There's nothing to fear.
You want to hear a short story about what I think of Rush Limbaugh?
Go on.
Go on. Yeah.
You know.
I only know Rush Limbaugh from Family Guy and.
Now this isn't meant to piss anybody off. This is kind of more laughing at myself. But I was on a dating website years ago, and this guy came on and he said something about, you know, he wanted to talk to me, and he said he was like a opposite of me on politics. And he said, well, you know, opposites attract, let's talk and stuff. And then he told me after like a couple messages, he said something about, if I really want to know, this is what the guy told me. He says, if you really want to know what's going on in the world, you need to listen to Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
And I told him that I would rather rub my nipples off with a rusty Brillo pad than listen to Rush Limbaugh for 5 minutes. And he didn't talk to me anymore after that.
Hard to see why.
Oh,
that's
dear.
a deal breaker.
Yeah, he didn't like that very well.
If only he'd continually messaged you and you had to do it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Actually, I probably pissed a few people off in the chat, but you know, hey.
Yeah, we had a Rush Limbaugh. I don't know what do you call it, like not
Moratorium.
impersonator, but he was like the next generation of Rush Limbaugh here in Seattle. And his name was Dory Munson, and he recently passed away. And, you know, a lot of people were kind of being a little pissy about the fact that I was like, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Like, the man, all he did was just incite a bunch of people into like angry nonsense, you know. On
I
a
can't
regular
say
basis.
I know very much about him, so I can't speak to that at all.
So the big problem with like radio hosts like that in America is that for years and years they've been able to for years and years they're able to go on to the radio and essentially just lie about all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff. And there was never any pushback because it was just radio, right? Like it wasn't recorded. There's nobody else in the studio like saying anything to them. So they were allowed this like these just basically an open microphone to like any construction site who had a radio at it, right? And they'd just be out there rambling on about stuff all day, and there was never any pushback or fact checking or any of that kind of stuff. And I often would run into people who are just like, they're so wildly misinformed about a thing that they're very angry about, you know. And like a good example in the States right now is like, so trans people and drag queens do these, they do this like they read books to little kids, like they do a song and dance kind of read books to kids, but they're just reading the book to kids just like any other adult would do a book reading. But that's insane, you know. Like they're outraged, right? There's just a level of outrage that they're all worked up about, you know. And to return to our previous sort of bit of conversation is like, if these people are so mad about these people doing the book readings, like why aren't they showing up to do the book readings? They're happy to be there to protest and scream and yell and throw rocks at buildings and stuff, but they don't want to do the book readings to the little kids, right? They don't want to volunteer for that, right? It's pretty wild. Yeah. So they're like outraged over trans people reading little
I
kids.
kind of feel sorry for like some of the like far right people, because they're going through their life so angry
right
at everything. I mean, they're angry about everything, and it's I kind of feel sorry for them. My ex-husband is like that. He's very, very far right. And I don't know. Like I say, I mean, I kind of feel sorry for him a bit, because why would you want to live your life mad at everybody all the time?
Right. That's a big issue, you know.
I don't understand how the right and the left can be so generalized that people can actually slot into one or the other, because
Yeah,
the way I've always seen it is that I've got different opinions on all the things across the board.
yeah. There's
And
not
they differ greatly.
I've always said that there's not like a definite like black and white. It's a lot of the world is gray.
Super grey.
You know.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah, like this.
Well, you know, it's like I've spent the better part of my life being involved in many different communities and many different groups of people, and spending some of my life energy like under. This is the saying that I try to maintain as a mantra: seek to understand, not to be understood. Right? Like, I want to know what's going on with other people. That's what I want to know most about, right? And I don't think that you can be a person that's functioning that way if you can't even accept anybody else at face value, right? Just the like, oh, somebody is gay. No, I can't. Sorry, nope. You know, somebody is from Mexico. Nope, nope. Right. And you know, I mean, only Oscar says the far left is nuts. Okay, the far right is Ku Klux Klan members. Are they sane? Is that normal to you?
I think the
Right.
far in either direction is probably a little bit
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the extremes are extremes, man.
Yeah,
And
that should be a shirt, brother.
you know, I met with a church pastor yesterday, who's been a preacher for many years. And it's funny because when you actually can talk to somebody from the church, a representative, and goes, cancel culture is brought to you by conservatives. Cancel
Yeah.
culture, those are the people who invented it. You know, they spent 100 years trying to cancel every nook and cranny of anything that they thought was aberrant, labeling everybody from a socialist to the Red Scare, through the Cold War, through the war on drugs, through the war on
Christmas,
segregation, you know,
the
the
war
war
on
on
Christmas.
segregation, the war, you know, the war on civil rights, the war on everything, you know.
I
And
support the war on Christmas.
the unfortunate thing is that, you know, there are a lot of social media platforms that went, oh, okay, we'll start doing that too. There are a lot of groups that said, oh, that's what you guys have been doing for the last 80 years. We're going to start doing it to you too. And now all of a sudden it's the, you know, we're being silenced, you know, and it's like, well, maybe it is. Maybe you are. You know, it's hard to say because when your tweet gets taken down from Twitter because it was so ridiculous, I don't even get a chance to read it. So I don't even know what you got banned for. So I don't agree with that. You know, I'm a traditional, like, very left-leaning person in the fact that, you know, I used to, you know, I proudly would, as much as I disagree with it, protect the rights of the freedom of speech of those Klan members, right, to be able to do their Klan stuff because it is speech. But I certainly don't go out to defend the rights for the Klan members to inflict violence on people or anything like that, right? You know, I think it's fine that people want to they want to protest an abortion clinic. Cool. Do it from 500 feet away and don't obstruct the path of people and don't take pictures of people's license plates so that you can dox them from having gone to Planned Parenthood because they needed just a simple pap smear to find out if they had cancer or not, right? Like, that stuff is, you know, okay, you want to protest it? Cool, use your voice. You want to do all this crazy other stuff to people? Like, it's bonkers to me.
So the paradigm of right wing, left wing, we've got to remember it's an eagle of freedom, and there are the progressives, which is the forward thinkers, and the regressives, which is the tail, which adds stability to the system. So by having the four dimensions all locked into your political system, in your dialogues, it's really important to think about that and dwell on that. Like, what's moving forward, what's looking to the future, what's taking care of stability and looking to the past. If you want to get really deep on the whole subject of political alignment systems, and if we're going to talk about wings, left wing, right wing, you got to look at the whole bird, not just focus on the extremities, because the extremities are just bad examples.
Yeah,
That's just always going to stir up controversy. So what about the heart of the eagle? Where's that? You know, where's that? That should be your president, not someone who leans either side.
absolutely.
Someone who should be central to the whole common core of everything that you need and you deserve.
Yeah. One person can't represent that. That's the problem.
Absolutely, too.
One person cannot represent 350 million opinions. That's not possible.
Yeah.
That's a statistical impossibility. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Because all you need is one aberrant person out of those 350 million people to throw that whole thing out, right? So when we're talking about like left and right policies, yes, there are a whole bunch of gray areas in between and all of that kind of stuff. I typically label myself as probably somebody who would fall into the category as a progressive. I don't consider myself to be an insane person, but I also don't. I don't consider myself to be 100% ideologically driven. Most of the opinions that I've garnered, I have come to by doing my best to like understand the full scope of a situation. We talk about policies, right? So the right wing of our representation in the United States wants all healthcare to be 100% run by private corporations that make the decisions on whether or not you should be able to get care at all based on the fact that you would be able to pay or not. Correct? Because that's what they publicly push forward. That is their agenda. Their agenda is to completely privatize all healthcare for all people, right? They want to remove Social Security, right? They want to take away the money that we've all paid in to take care of our elderly, which, by the way, before Social Security existed, senior citizens' poverty level was at something like 80%. 80% of elderly people before Social Security was put in after the Great Depression, 80% of elderly people were living in destitute poverty, right? Do we want to go back? They want to go back to that? So why do old people vote for that? Answer that question, right? Who are they? Mitch McConnell. Ask Mitch McConnell who they are, right? Mitch McConnell runs the Republican Party. Okay, that's who they are.
They vote for their hopes, not for their reality.
And this is what Mitch McConnell wants to do, right?
And the thing is that Social Security is not charity. We fucking paid into it our whole lives.
Right. It's not charity. Neither is Medicare. We pay into it.
Yeah.
Right? Medicare, Medicaid, they're constantly pushed forward in our political system as these these social programs. We're spending so much money on them. We collect money on them. We collect money on them on all paychecks. You know, it's not, it's part of our budget. Like, yeah. And
the problem started when the government started borrowing money from Social Security, and now they don't want to pay it back.
Well,
so that's why they want to end Social Security.
It goes deeper than that. One of my close friends was in America, and they needed an IV drip. They're an Australian, and they go to a hospital. They didn't have cover, so they paid the bill, and they got charged $750 for a IV drip. A saline bag. That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
The profiteering of medical necessities and turning them into a business is the problem. Not Medicare or Medicaid. It's the actual problem of turning medicine into a business.
Right. And I'm going to reply to
people suffering.
Right. And I'm going to reply to some of the chat here. But we sent Ukraine millions. Yes. Ukraine is one of our allies and one of the biggest producers of wheat in the world, aka food. Do you want the food production to fall into Putin's hands? Putin, who trades food product with China. Putin, who, by the way, after Trump put all of his crazy tariffs in place and China decided to drop United States soybean, right? All of the soybeans that they bought from the United States, they decided to drop it. Putin immediately took $10 billion and started promoting soybean production in Russia. Why do you think he's invading Ukraine right now? To take wheat production so that he can sell it to China, so that he can continue to grow his country. Of course, we are, by the way, supporting one of our allies in Ukraine and sending them money to help them defend themselves. We haven't sent any soldiers over there to die. We are supporting them with what we can so that they can fight their own war against an invading force from a dictator, right? Of course we would do that. because we're the United States, because we would support our allies. If somebody invaded Australia right now, we would support Australia because Australia is one of our allies in our ability to feed, house, clothe, and shelter all of our people here. And all of our people, our friends in Australia, our friends in London, our friends in South Africa, all of our friends around the world, who, by the way, are also people just the same as we are. Of course, we would support the country in the way that we can, right? Yes, that's why. So Cody says that Social Security is going to go fail. No, it will not fail. It will not fail if we fund it, because guess what? Just like when anything else that we fund, guess what? It doesn't fail because we support it, right? We support it. We put tax money into it. Tax money is taken out of paychecks. Tax money goes into it. We fund it. We also utilize that money in order to grow our other businesses within the United States. Yes, because it supports our country, the well-being of our country. If we allow Social Security to fail, suddenly we have tens of millions of elderly people who are dying and or sick, and we have to take care of them because they don't have anything. They don't have anybody else to take care of them, right? I don't know many people who could just quit their career right now and go take care of their 75-year-old parent who is languishing and dying, right? They're going to have to quit their career, stop taking care of their kids, doing all that stuff to go take care of their parents. I don't know very many people that can afford to go do that at this point, right? So, of course, we should have Social Security. Of course, we should fund it. Of course, we should make sure that it doesn't fail, because we are 350 million people in the richest country in the world. And there's no reason for old people, the elderly, who, by the way, served our country, the veterans, should we just leave them? Like, we had a big, giant discussion about that earlier, about how important it is, right?
Well said, Joel.
You know,
Well said.
like, when it comes to healthcare, right? The reason that I bring up healthcare is it's a non-elastic market, right? The reason I say that, elastic markets are for things you don't necessarily need, okay? Maybe you want to buy a boom box or a TV for your house, or whatever kind of commodity that you don't need to survive. Those are elastic markets. Those places, those companies get too much. Oh, we got too much of this. We'll put it on sale. The price comes down. Oops, we don't have very much. The price goes up. Elastic market, because it's not something that you need. But guess what? Something that all people need at some point in time in their life: some form of healthcare. From the very first day that you come into this planet, you need some kind of healthcare. The moment you're born, somebody got to cut the umbilical cord and make sure that you aren't choking on your own embryonic fluid that is probably breathed in, because you're a human baby that is impossible to take care of yourself, right? You aren't a deer. You're not a bear. You can't take care of yourself when you're born. You need health care in order to support human lives and human outcomes to be positive, right? It's not a market that you can just continue to extract money from people, because they have to have it at some point. You understand? Like, if you have diabetes, you have to go get help, or you're just going to die, right? I don't wish that death on anybody. It's on my fucking microphone, right? Like, I want people with diabetes to have regular care so that they can just be taken care of and have a regular life, right? Like, when it comes to those things, and like, for instance, in Australia, I've talked about the post office because it should be the least offensive thing. I talk about the post office all the time.
I was deeply offended in the post office the other day. I stood in a line for 25 minutes.
You don't have a post office like the United States has a post office, right? Other countries don't understand. I've talked to British people and they complain about the post. I talk to Australian people, you complain about the post. Yeah, Americans complain about the post office, but the reality is I can send a box from here to Florida for like $6, right? And it's going to get there in 2 days.
That's awesome.
Right? That's insane.
Stamps.com/Blacky.
Like, you guys are on one side of Australia. Can't remember what city you're closest to. What's the one on the other side of Australia? Sydney? Or
Perth.
Perth is the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you're in Sydney and you want to send something to Perth. How much is that going to cost you?
Depends on the
25
size.
bucks.
Put around $30.
30, 50 bucks, small, let's say a box, right?
Depends what the weight is. Most of
Yeah,
our
it's gonna
postage
get air
goes on
freighted.
weight.
Yeah.
So, the post office in the United States is shipping everywhere to every place in the United States every day, basically.
Yeah.
Amazon wouldn't exist if the United States Postal Service didn't exist, right?
I don't know if it's the same as America, but in Australia, the Postmaster General, it's actually a military order, our postal service.
Yeah, well, it did stem out of the military, didn't it?
It is, and it still is. It's a
From
functional
California
part of
to
our
Florida is $65.
material transportation system.
Okay.
Like if war comes to your country, guess what you got to rely on? The postal service to get your bullet farm bullets where they need to fucking go. Simple.
That's actually inspired me to actually clear my throat, first of all, but also because, like GRB says, he is in Perth.
Anywhere
Maybe I should
anywhere in the
finally
content.
send
All right. So
the
hold
guitar
on
pedals
a
to him
second.
and find out how much it costs.
Hold on a second. Only Oscar says from California to Florida is $65, which is a blatant lie. I'm looking at the United States Postal Service shipping rates right here. Priority mail flat rate box anywhere in the continental United States. It's 9 inches by 5.5 inches by 1.5 inches. That's that standard little box. It's $4.95. Priority mail. Medium flat rate box, $10.35. Priority mail flat rate box, $13.95. So, I mean, if you want to just make up numbers, feel free to just make them up, but that's not accurate at all. $65 is not accurate. The Fits It Ships boxes, get one of those boxes, put it in there. That's the price. Not just a brick in some weird cardboard that you put together and went down there and said, "Hey, ship this thing," like, yeah. I mean, so. So you're talking about shipping fish. You're talking about shipping live animals overnight, okay? And that is a specialty item, correct?
It's getting hot in here. Blacky's taking all off.
Oh,
his
no,
clothes.
right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's 10:30. It's 10:30 for me. I got to get up at 4:30 to go to work. I don't know if you guys have jobs, but I got to go to work. Pamela, I love seeing you. I hope you're doing well. Stay warm.
Yeah, I'll try.
Don't light your house on fire. Get some blankets. Where'd Josh go? He left.
Probably just beverage run.
He's probably farting over there off cam. Can't trust him.
He probably
Blacky,
saw me take my shirt off and wanted to take his shirt off as well, and didn't want to do it on screen.
Mick, don't get banned from anything with no shirt. You showing off your nipplage.
That's strictly for my OnlyFans account.
Yeah. But it's 10:30. I got to go to bed. Well,
Right,
tell
I do.
D-Beam I went to bed.
I will. I'll tell
Okay.
him all sorts of other falsehoods as well about you.
Yeah, I got to go. I love all you guys in the chat. I closed the chat, so I'm not reading anybody's name. But
Give
yeah, see you later.
Olivia a hug.
Oh, she's asleep. She went to bed, but I'll give her a hug tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll wake her up if I go in there, and then she'll be like, some creepy weirdo.
And you ought to move to Wyoming. It's rather entertaining at times. It's rather entertaining here at times.
Yeah, once I'm independently wealthy, I'll do it.
Think of all those family moments when you're locked in your house with nowhere to go.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, we thought about I would like to move out there, but the options are a shanty, or
Or a
a
mansion.
giant ranch, or live in a town that is literally dying, and they're like, "Hey, would you please move here? There's no one's left. Can you just keep an eye on things?" Yeah. So,
There's a lot of towns like that here. There's a lot of towns like that in Montana too,
very true. Very true.
but not as many in Montana. Wyoming is basically like, except for Casper and Cheyenne, maybe Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much, there's nothing here.
Yeah. It's
There's
hard. I
nothing
mean,
here.
it's
There's no people. There's no,
You got
Yeah,
a little bit of
that's the thing.
Yellowstone.
That's the
That
thing
doesn't
for
bring
me. Is that,
anything.
like, the thing for me is that like I really enjoy being around a lot of culture. You know, like this last weekend, we met with one of Olivia's friends who is a Indian from India, raised in Britain, London, or raised in London. Got their master's degree and got their like bachelor's degree in London, then moved to the States to get their master's degree, is working on their doctorate, and Olivia's friends with their daughter. And so we went to the children's museum and like climbed around this crazy jungle gym and went in this like fake airplane and did all this like crazy stuff. And that to me is like a big deal. And that would be the
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to like living in like Oregon and Washington. And
Yeah.
I'm going to mention something here that a lot of people are probably going to frown on. And I don't normally tell people. I mean, most people don't know this.
I think there's been plenty of frowning in today's episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
But my youngest child is trans.
Mhm.
And I told them, as much as I miss them, to get the hell out of Wyoming. And they moved to Oregon.
Yeah.
Because
Solid parental
Wyoming
advice.
sucks as far as anything like that. Wyoming is bad. Really
and where
bad.
did they go?
Oregon.
Yeah.
Seems sensible.
And I miss them terribly, but I don't want them here because it would be dangerous for them to live here.
Detrimental. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So,
good to
okay,
know where
a lot
you're
of
at.
people are going to be frowning and thinking bad of me for that, but I don't really care. That's just what it is, what it is,
Yep. And I mean,
And I love my kids unconditionally, so don't even start talking bad about them,
like the reality of my life, honestly, just I don't know. I closed chat, so I'm not even reading any of that. Just talking to you, Pamela. Like the reality of my life has been, I've always tried to be open-minded with everybody I've ever met, and I've experienced a lot of violence in my life from the extraordinarily closed-minded people that
Yeah, exactly. Me
feel
too.
like it's okay to ostracize somebody like your kid. And I have willingly always put myself in the fray, in the fracas, which has led to a lot of trouble. Like I can't go to Canada now. They won't let me in. They stop me at the border and say you can't come here. But I can go to Peru. They'll let me in there. They don't mind. And it's just kind of been like I don't know. It's been something that has been a big part of my life for the entirety of my life, and the weird thing is that like no one ever asks my sister if she served, right? None of those dudes ever ask my sister if she served. Why is that?
Is there a paradigm like misogyny, but reverse misogyny, like homogyny, where
No, it's just misogyny. Like they wouldn't ask her because there's no expectation that she would have
Oh
served.
yeah, and how many times have you heard about women veterans who will like park in a veteran only spot and have somebody jump all over them for parking there?
Right. Yeah.
That happens.
G'day, brothers.
I've heard of that a lot of times. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just somebody that I consider all communities to be my friend. And a lot of my conservative friends I have arguments with on a regular basis. They're still my friends and I still love them.
Oh yeah, it used to be years ago when I was growing up. You'd have people that totally disagreed on politics sit there and argue for an hour and then have a beer and slap each other on the back, and be still friends. And nowadays it's like people are mortal enemies just for their politics, and it's so ridiculous to me.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
the amount of hate that is out there for someone that just disagrees with you is just bizarre to me.
It's
Well,
ridiculous.
Pam,
I will.
population stress is what is causing this
It's not.
aggression.
The thing is, like, it hasn't changed. It's not
It's not-
any different than it was 27 years ago. When I was in high school, anybody that was different, anybody that was doing something different meant that you were going to get picked on, you were going to get shit thrown at you, you were going to get in fist fights with the jocks, you were going to get in fist fights with the Filipino guys, you were going to get in
The
fist
Glee
fights
Club?
with, anybody that was out of the norm was picked on by, I guess, the Aryan race. I don't know what you want to qualify them as, but it was the athletic, good-looking white people who wanted to step on everybody else, and I never put up with it. And I admittedly ate a lot of bike locks and shit like that when I was a kid because, like, I grew up in an area where, you got in a fight. Like, okay, that happened. Well, there's school tomorrow. Go back to school. One of the guys that I went to high school with, this guy Dustin. I got in, like, he was like the linebacker for the football squad, and I played soccer, so I was a queer, right? You get called every name in the book. I had a big giant mohawk too, and so it was pretty clear to, like, pick on that guy, right? And I got in like 4 fights with that guy throughout the,
Wow.
and some of those
4.
church people out there would say that, like, God works in mysterious ways. Well, God gave that guy blood cancer and he died. So
Wow.
who knows? Maybe God is real. Maybe that's just.
I just
vengeance
laughed
on that
about
guy.
someone's death on screen. I apologize about that.
Well, I don't know. He was a
Hell.
dirtbag. So what are you gonna do?
God does. My experience, if there is a God, is irony is his bitter language.
Yeah.
Take
Ultimately,
that to heart.
my point for even bringing that up is that, like, that guy always treated people badly, right? And it's not to say that, like, because you treat people badly, you're going to get blood cancer and die. But when you do get blood cancer and die, no one is upset when you go away, right? No one is there by your deathbed when you've treated everybody like trash your entire life. And I don't want to be somebody who goes out that way. I don't want to be that guy.
Agreed.
I'd like to be that guy that, I got sober 8.5 years ago, and I went on the world tour of apologies, right? I made the amends to most of the people that I thought I needed to make amends to. I made amends to people that, was probably pretty disturbing for them to get a phone call from a guy like me. But I did what I could. And, the strange thing is that for as bad as I thought I was, 95% of the people were like, yeah, you were a dick, but, like, you were our dick. Like, you were
You were thinking
like,
worse of yourself than they were.
Like, one of the guys I went to make amends to was like, you're the only person that gave me a place to live when I was homeless. You, like, took me in and gave me a place to live. You let me live at your house for almost a year until he got back on his feet. And I was like, who gives a shit about that? I told you to fuck off. And, like, I think I crashed into your car one time, whatever it was, whatever the thing was, and, the reality kind of set in that it was like, well, I'm just going to continue to do the best I can to be the best person I can for the people that I can reach. Right.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, it's like, I'm sure people are upset about my opinions or about this or that or the other thing. And that I understand. Okay, it's great. Let's be upset. If anybody ever wants to talk to me, you can always email me, you can message me on Instagram, you can do whatever, hey. And if you want to, if anybody ever wants to have a talk and go like, here's what I think, okay, I'm always willing to hear it out. That doesn't mean I'm not going to counter whatever it is that you say, because it's a two-way street. And if you say something that I think is just a bold-faced non-truth, right, alternative fact or whatever, then I'm gonna call it out, and I've always been that guy, and I'm just gonna try to keep being that guy as the best, be the best person that I can. So I mean, that's just
Keep
what I'm
us
trying
real.
to do, right? That's what
Thank
I'm
you.
just trying to do for the few people that I'm in contact with, right?
Clovis, thank you for your service.
Fuck you, dude.
No, thank you for your service.
F you heartily F you. But
I
you
love
You
it.
cook
I
many
love,
meals.
I love it. I'm
do-
being honest.
but I
I'm
do
not
have-
joking. It's
but
important to be. It's important to be prepared to go in the battle of the
Right.
mind and of communication in public spaces like this. You're doing a
Right.
good thing.
Well, it's like, a guy like Jimmy P he'd be super upset that I didn't serve in the military because, I wasn't willing to take that oath, right? But also, when I was 18 years old, I had 13 people living in a house that were all, were they the derelicts of society, but people that are trying to do their best, yeah. I regularly took in as many immigrant people that needed help. I still to this day know quite a few Ecuadorians, some Venezuelans, a lot of Mexicans, of course, some Peruvians, a couple other, a lot of people from the South that, strangely enough, every once in a while I get a Facebook message from somebody that's like, oh my God, Vanessa had her third kid and blah, 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 blah. And, just want to let you know that like everything's going great and, and that kind of stuff. And you just go like, holy shit, like I affected somebody's life like 25 years ago because
Yeah.
they got brought to this country by a coyote. They're $15,000 in debt to some guy who's going to kill their mom in the other country. They got a job washing dishes at a restaurant I was running. And, for over the next 2 or 3 years, worked their way up, learned English, did all those things. And, here we are 25 years later. They're an American citizen now. They're immigrated. They have kids. They're taking care. They're paying their taxes. They're doing all those things. They're contributing to society that I consider to be an enrichment to our society. But yet there are large groups within our country, even though our country is founded on that principle, there are large groups in our country that would say those people need to go back to the country where they came from. And you know what? I think it's bullshit, frankly. They're not taking from us. They're not taking from us. They're contributing with us.
Absolutely.
With us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And those are the founding principles that I'm adhering to, right? I'm not adhering to a false pledge to a god while I stare at a flag and hold my hand over my heart and then immediately turning around and staring down my nose at every other American that is around, right? Those people that came here and became American are Americans now. That's how I see them. And I think that is lost on groups of people in America that have been closed off from other cultures for an extreme amount of time. And Pamela has hit on that earlier, that their child had to leave the state that they live in because of the sheltered culture that has been brewing in Wyoming for such a long time. Under the guise of, our church is our community and
America.
Yeah.
America, yep. Yeah,
America.
I learned a lesson years ago too about immigrants that well, I already knew it, but I think it's a good example. When I lived in the Dalles, Oregon, years and years ago, every spring when the cherry pickers came to town, there would be a rash of people's garages being broken into and their tools stolen and da 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 da. It happened every year, right?
Yeah.
And they finally caught him. It was a local man and his son that waited for them to come to town so that they would get the blame for it. That we're
Picking
breaking
their
into
timing.
everybody's garages and stealing their tools and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the way things are.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is that like there are
And most
people that
most of those people are very hard. Most of those people that come up and work in all the orchards and stuff. Number one, nobody wants to do that job. It's hard labor, and so we need them. And number two, they're just hard-working families trying to better themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. They're hard. Most 99% of them are hard-working families that are trying to better themselves, or even like young guys that are up here and sending all the money home to their families every week.
But Pam, every time there's theft, right? That's an opportunity for investment. You got these guys in New York at the stock exchange dumping millions of dollars into fictitious futures and whatever. If they invested in that local community and bought those potential thieves tools, bam, you got people actively working with tools they need. Theft is asset relocation service.
think of all those pawn shops that would go out of business.
Yeah, right.
Like if people weren't stealing, all the pawn shops would close. All right, it is 11. I gotta go to bed. I have to get up at 4:30.
It was good to see you, Joe.
Okay, man.
I hope I didn't
Great
make
to
you
talk
mad.
with you tonight, Joel.
What's that?
Great to talk with you tonight, Joel.
What'd you say, Pam?
Oh, I said it was good to see you, and I hope I didn't make you mad with some of my opinions.
No. The thing is, like, I have resting bitch face, and people are like, that guy's pissed because I'm animated and I yell about things and I get weird, but I'm like, I'm not even mad. Like, I'm
just
the other
saying
day,
words and stuff.
the other day, Olivia saw me when I was actually mad, and I kind of flipped out and I apologized after the fact. But her reaction was like, "Daddy scares me," and I'm like, "Holy shit!" Because like you guys haven't even seen me actually mad. Like, if you see me actually mad, it's a fucking chaos, man. So I'm never offended by. And the reality is like I'm not even offended by people that don't like me. It's like I don't like you, you're an idiot. Blah, blah, blah. It's like,
Oh yeah,
okay, well,
when you get
all right.
when you get as old
What
as
do-
me, you don't really care
Yeah.
anymore. I don't care
I'm
who
like-
likes me and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's like what do you want me to do? You want me to change for some stranger that's like upset somewhere?
This far into my life.
I'm not even going to change for like a stranger that's here, right? Like why would I do that? I don't know. No, I'm not offended, but yeah, no. I hope everybody has a good night, and I love you lots. Maybe next week, who knows? We'll see how things go.
Peace out. See you next week, man.
All right, peace out, Rainbow Trout.
Take care.
I have probably outworn my welcome to you. Just wanted to have me up to show my drawing, and I've been sitting here for what, an hour or so.
No, I didn't. That was just a ruse. I wanted you up here to play the part of Sarah because Sarah couldn't be here today.
Mm.
So you're Scungy today. You're the Scungy
okay.
part.
I'm not that cool though.
Oh, come on. Jesus. I am also trying to elongate the stream because she did message me before and she said she's out at the shops doing groceries and stuff, but I still highly doubt that she'll make her presence felt here today. Wednesday, our time, is one of her only days where she's not in the office and she can do her own stuff. So I totally appreciate that she needs to get stuff done other than being here with us. So
New local Austin, you need to put that wang back where it belongs.
What?
I didn't even know that Yoni was an American term. I didn't know you guys use that one.
Yoni is Pueblo, if I'm not wrong.
I thought it was an Australian term for vagina.
Actually, it's American. I mean, Indian. Yeah. It might be a root word that crosses all cultures.
Maybe.
By now, anyway.
I know a mutual friend of mine and Z-Beams made a lot of money out of Yonis, didn't she?
She sure did. Yeah.
What was there was a London Times or something article where she was featured in for her vaginas that she was embroidering or making however she made them.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money on them.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, Punchy, Pam, in Australia, we have native sandalwood, and it's a small shrub out in the desert.
Oh, nice.
I've eaten the nuts of that bush, and I thought they were quandongs up until about 4 years ago when I confronted my dad and said, "What were those nuts you were feeding me when I was a kid?" And he actually owned up and said, "They were actually sandalwood nuts that I'd roasted and given you." I'm like, okay, fair enough.
That sounds kind of cool. Here you can go if you know what you're looking for. You can get pine nuts.
Yeah, pine nuts cool, but
pine nuts are good too.
But you'll like this one. Okay, so in Australia we have the native sandalwood, but in India they have cultivated sandalwood. Now, during the last ice age, there was this vast plain between India and Australia called Kumari Kundam. And there was trade between the two areas. And they would take Australian natives and bring them back to India and cultivate them. And that was prior to the Great Destruction. When the giants still were around, before they went feral and became Sasquatches.
What's the link between sandalwood and quandongs?
Well, I always assumed that the quandong nuts were where the seed came from until I got a quandong nut and cracked it and went, oh, that's the seed? Oh, brain fart. That wasn't what I was eating. I was eating something different.
Right.
So I had to ask my dad what was going on. I thought they were quandong nuts. And he's like, no, they were sandalwood nuts. Okay.
Quandong nuts have a face on their side. If you cut them in half and look at them from the inside, there's a pretty face.
I don't know what they even are.
It's a quandong is a native tree down here in Australia. Okay. And it's got a blue fruit, which is fairly useless, I guess. There's not a lot of flesh on the fruit, but you can make a jam out of it, which is apparently the best use for it. I don't think many people eat the fruit in its natural state.
Yeah, we have some here like that, like flowering quince is like a flowering bush that makes little fruit that look almost like a little apple, but they make good jam, but there's not much other use for it either.
Like those crab apples too, isn't it?
They're crab apples, same
hard
thing.
To eat,
yep.
Unless you make a jam out of them.
Quandong, not condom.
Yeah, it's got a QU.
That's what I was gonna say. It's a QU, not a CON.
Yeah.
QUANDONG for those playing at home.
Although there are probably some people that eat nuts from condoms too.
I believe I've put the accurate spelling in the chat for those who want to look them up. We have a absolutely massive one over the creek. It's about 45 meters tall, and apparently the seeds, once the fruit has decomposed, apparently the seeds are quite good to use in making jewelry.
Okay.
So yeah, Sarah's been talking a lot lately about making wooden jewelry and stuff. So I might have to take a trip over the creek and go and collect a bunch of them and see what she can do with them.
For sure. I got a decent tree in my property. If I see them, I pick them up when they're fresh and have a munch. Not the best thing, but to taste wise, but nutritionally, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
What's the other thing I love eating is the ginger flowers, the red torch gingers. They got the little yellow flowers, and they're in season at the moment as a heliconia. Just rip that little ginger flower out and yum yum. It's good.
Gobble doc.
Yeah.
All right, shall we call it quits here? Shall we? Now that we're talking about eating wildflowers and whatnot.
Whenever, like I said, I just came up to show my drawing, and then I ended up
being here forever.
yes, crashing your stream. I crashed your stream.
No, you didn't. You were the absolute number one best scungy substitute we could possibly have today. So thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having me up.
No problem whatsoever.
Nice talking with you, Pam.
Yeah, nice talking to you. And I am going to go get underneath the covers because my house is starting to get cold.
Oh, I could imagine
Cold,
so.
cold.
Well, good luck with staying warm, and I'll probably see you on Sunday or Saturday night, I should
Yep,
say.
I'll be streaming Saturday night.
All right.
So bye, everybody in chat. Thanks. Good night.
See you
See
soon.
ya.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for hanging out. Absolutely especially you, Mob in Replay Team 6. I hope my flagibiters didn't show up when I did that. I've got these floppy bits of skin under my arms that I don't know where they've come from. Probably inactivity or something.
Yes, you need to muscle up, my friend.
Need to start doing push-ups. I had my great nephew here yesterday, my niece's son, and he likes to get on my exercise bike, but I don't keep my exercise bike plugged in all the time.
Yeah.
I'll unplug it and I'll store the power supply on the exercise bike. And during the time little mate was here yesterday, he's managed to wrap the cord of the power supply around one of the pedals and rip it apart.
Oh no.
So yeah, lucky my son's an auto electrician and can possibly bring me some parts this afternoon to fix it so I can get back on the bike tomorrow. I haven't been on the bike yet.
Okay, so you need some weights too, man. Like honestly, there's a lot of medicine information that comes out of Japan talking about how muscles and muscle tone is really important to produce certain chemicals that make your organs function better. So if you're not having a decent muscle mass and exercising regularly, your organs are going to start to degrade. And, you know, the primordial truth is if you're not making gains, you are losing.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're on the losing spectrum, you're just going to keep losing cells until you waste away into dementia and nothingness. And
I think while I'm still this heavy, I think me as myself is a weight, so I can just do push-ups and that's my weight routine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I just got to get motivated into doing it and become a different person because I'm going to need it.
Yes. Get bigger if you can.
All right, everyone. Thanks heaps for hanging out. Thanks for.
I'm going to the pool.
Oh, good idea in this temperature. I should probably come there as well, except I got to make dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Amateur aquatic addiction. Get in touch with us and let's talk about, mating and whatnot. You're so close. You're only like 3.5 hours away. Maybe we could do a live stream from the Iluka. Not Iluka. What's the one that starts with N down there? It has the nice wooden boardwalk around the beach. Is it Nambucca Heads? Has the nice boardwalk?
Yeah.
They got a really nice boardwalk through the mangroves and coastal area. Anyway, that's for another day. Thanks heaps, everyone, for hanging out. Thanks, Huawei and GRB. You know what you did.
Thanks, guys.
It's the talk about post from the East Coast to the West Coast has motivated me to finally send GRB his guitar pedals that I promised him probably almost 2 years ago now. I'm so slack with that kind of thing. I make so many promises that I don't keep. I can't believe I've still got viewers on my channel because of the amount of promises that I've reneged on. But anyway, you must see something else in me other than a reneger.
There's some quality content. Make videos, not pictures, Blacky. Remember that.
Yeah. I'll start putting some stuff up. And it was good to see some faces back in, Derek and some others that haven't been in for a while. Good to see. Thanks heaps for popping back. Tell your nan or your gran to subscribe to my channel. If I get more subscribers, I'll probably be more motivated to make content other than this nonsense. It looks like I need to drink more water. I'll go and drink some water and we'll go now. Thanks heaps, everyone. Take it easy and fingers crossed I'll see yous when I'm looking at yous as usual. I can't find them.